College Game Day is built by the Home Depot and in part by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world, and Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way.
Assistance with the events that were transpiring. While there are many...
A check presentation from East Carolina of $100,000 to the Hokie Spirit Memorial Award just made. And back now, Tony Disler, the ceremonial MC, as the tribute continues.
Charles Speaker and Virginia Tech Board of Visitors Rector Jacob Lutz welcome from the Blacksburg Rescue Squad, Sarah Walker. From the Virginia Tech Rescue Squad, James Downing. From the Blacksburg Police Department Chief, Kim Kranis. And from the Virginia Tech Police Department, Chief Wendell Flincham. Now, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we ask that you please direct your attention to Hokie Vision for a special video tribute.
Cherish every step for a life well spent. On this earth we're lent will be marked by the void you have left. Walk humbly, son, and store your pride when you need strength later on. For your life's worth will be judged if earth is sad when you have gone. Walk humbly, son, walk humbly now, and forget not where you are from. Will you walk humbly, son?
We will continue to invent the future through our blood and tears, through all this sadness. We are the Hokies. We will prevail. We will prevail. We will prevail. We are Virginia Tech.
Conclude our pregame ceremony with every Hokie's favorite song,
Day. And by the way, there is a football game, East Carolina and the Hokies, Kirk.
Yeah, it's about so much more, obviously, than football today. But, Lee, Virginia Tech, East Carolina, Virginia Tech wins this football game. But obviously, they've been waiting for this day, and it's finally here.
I've said it before. I don't know what a Hokie is, but God is one of them. God bless Virginia Tech.
A popular selection here. A long-awaited day, though. The moment is at hand. We're used to cheering their Hokies on the field as they gather in that very claustrophobic tunnel. It's downhill, it's dark, you make a left turn, and then you emerge out of the noise of Lane Stadium. It's been a difficult journey for so many here over the past few months. They've said that they've needed this day. They've needed this chance to come together. Today is something unique. Tech and East Carolina will run out together. There'll be no booing of the visiting team. And here is the ritual. Metallica's Enter Sandman builds. The crowd roars, jumps up and down, and welcomes the Virginia Tech like they have so many times before, but at a moment that feels very, very different. It is absolutely deafening as the passions are released, and the Hokie Nation says this is a very appropriate way to honor the victims. Virginia Tech and East Carolina to follow. Enjoy the broadcast. Upstairs to Mike Tirico.
Chris, thank you. It is much more than a football game, but technically it is the opener of the 2007 season. East Carolina out of Conference USA and out of the Atlantic Coast Conference, number 9, Virginia Tech. We had our greetings this afternoon from Blacksburg. No way anybody could have pulled that off more perfectly than Virginia Tech just did. You know, there are a lot of cynics and critics who sometimes say that intercollegiate athletics doesn't hold the proper place on campuses and universities around America. Well, Virginia Tech has challenged those cynics and critics. What you've seen today is perfectly an example of a university community coming together at a football game. Nothing else brings a campus closer than a gathering like this. So here they are, 66,000 strong in maroon and orange, and who knows how many thousands of others in the Hokie Nation who watch on TV and share their experiences. This football team has galvanized this community. If 20 weeks ago was the darkest day for Virginia Tech, the time since then, especially the last minutes, probably this football program's finest hour. As the captains, the seniors, and the head coaches exchange handshakes at midfield, I'm joined here by Bill Curry and Todd Blackledge, two great guys to add perspective to this. We've been here 3 days. Give me a sense of what you have experienced here and how it translates.
See and feel, but we do know that tragedy breaks people and tragedy makes people, and we aren't quite sure what that's going to be, even if it's us. But one thing that we are sure of, tragedy always reveals character. It reveals human beings. And Coach Frank Beamer, the fine head football coach, has used his exalted position as the coach of the favorite sport around here to encourage and to be a beacon of hope. He's urged his players to do the same. Beamer ball is alive and well, Todd, but it's not the biggest story today.
When you talk to the players, you get a real unique sense. You know, when you have a great team, you build a sense of family, and normally you keep that family circle pretty small and pretty tight. But this team has willingly followed the lead of their coach and opened up that circle to embrace the rest of the student body and this entire Blacksburg community. And they see playing for more people and for a higher purpose, not as a burden, but something they've embraced as a real opportunity and a real privilege.
Easy to rally around. Also easy because they're darn good. This is the best team preseason in the ACC. Some think a championship team. Their trademark defense does it again.
Yeah, it starts with defense. They're fast and furious. This may be the fastest they've had in a long time, and they're led by a pair of senior linebackers in Vince Hall and Xavier Adibi, who came here 5 years ago with the idea of doing something special and leaving Virginia Tech as the best pair of linebackers ever to play here. They are well on their way to doing that. They lead by example, and they raise the level of play of this entire Hokie defense.
And the offense should be better this year. Brandon Orr, number 28, has almost been the forgotten man. All he's done is average 5 yards a carry for 350 carries in his career. He said, we used youth as an excuse last year. No more. We got no excuses.
East Carolina's adversity on the field. For more on that, to the field. Here's Aaron Andrews.
Well, Mike, without a doubt, East Carolina will feel all the emotion surrounding this community and university. They've dealt with their own adversity, although their head coach, Skip Holt, says it's nothing compared to what Vodtech has gone through. On Saturday, Pirates starting quarterback Rob Cass was arrested and charged with a DWI. He was suspended for that game. 2 freshmen, Brett Clay and Patrick Pickney, will play today. Holtz told us he doesn't know when and he doesn't know where. We don't even know who's starting. That depends on the field situation. If it's good field position, Patrick will get the ball. If it's backed up, it goes to Brent. Mike?
Aaron, thank you. Tom Rinaldi will join us on the broadcast as well. Virginia Tech has won the toss, defer the option. East Carolina will receive. Jared DeVelli will kick it off, and we'll let you share in the moment of kickoff in Blacksburg. Off we go from Virginia Tech. Even with a 5-yard deeper kickoff spot at the 30, it's 5 yards deep in the end zone by Jared DeVelli. No return for Chris Johnson. So who will be the quarterback? Let's see who emerges from the group for East Carolina. It looks like it's going to be the redshirt sophomore Brett Clay. Was the number 3 quarterback last year. Played the 4th quarter of one game against Marshall. Has a good mind, good understanding of the total concepts of the offense. Patrick Pickney, the other quarterback we will likely see in more mobile, out-of-the-pocket situations. Against the Tech defense for your first snap. Good luck. First play, a run. No gain into the pile for Chris Johnson. Let me introduce you to East Carolina's offensive plays as DJ Parker made that tackle. Johnson and Dominic Lindsay will carry the load. They've lost Andre Allison, their big top receiver, to graduation. So Bryant and Steven Rogers from Augusta, Georgia. Von Drew, the tight end, is a former quarterback. The guys up front, from Fred Hicks on over to Doug Palmer and DJ Scott, all making their first starts in this intense atmosphere.
Wow. Fun.
Second down, second run. This time Johnson spills through the hole and gets about 5.5. Orion Martin made the tackle. This Virginia Tech defense gave up the fewest points and the fewest yards in the nation last year. And 8 of the starters returned, including stud defensive end Chris Ellis. Todd told you about the linebackers. Hall and Adibi, as good a pair as there are anywhere in the United States. Gotta watch the secondary. If there are questions, they will be back here. Cam Chancellor, the Rover, takes Aaron Rouse's spot. Flowers and Harris are the corners. Flowers, very good. 3rd-team All-America last year.
Trouble with the gun snaps and warm-ups, Mike.
Clay takes that one, uses the block, and gets right to the first down line. I believe the mark is going to be just about a half-yard short. We're going that 4th down.
I like the call on that first 3rd down because the thing about this defense when you're playing them, and we saw it Thursday night, anybody that watched Mississippi State and LSU, you play a great defense, you better protect the football.
And Skip Holtz knows, as everybody knows, Virginia Tech blocks kicks unlike any school the last 20 years. And this is a new punter, Matt Dodge, who gets a quick snap, good protection, and gets away a nice kick. 49 yards, a retreating Eddie Royal from the 21. Takes it to the 36, a return of 15, and Virginia Tech's offense will take the field after the net of 35 yards. And is the quarterback for Virginia Tech. It's his 2nd year as a starter. Brandon Orr, 1,100 yards last year. Morgan and Royal lead 4 senior receivers who can make things happen. They feel pretty good about their offensive line, even though they lost Ed Wang, a projected right tackle, to a broken left fibula the first week of practice. But the gentleman who stepped in and the rearrange along the line has been good. Captain Dwayne Brown, that left tackle, he's a senior. He's played the last 2 seasons at right tackle. Hokies will open in 3 wide for their first drive of the year. Fake reverse action. Glennon's first option is covered, and he threw an interception to Pierre Bell. So Bell, one of the vocal leaders of this team, did not go for the fake, and the first mistake is made by the veteran team at home.
Well, Skip Holtz felt very good about how his defense matched up in this game. They're a very simple defense. They don't do a lot of fancy things. They were not faked out by the reverse. They stayed in their lanes, and an excellent first defensive play for East Carolina. Virginia Tech tried to fool them, tried to get a big play off the play action. It didn't fool anybody on that East Carolina defense.
No, and East Carolina actually moved the ball on their first series. Great encouragement for this young East Carolina team.
Starting in Tech territory, first throw, a safe throw. Jamar Bryant is lit up by Cam Martin, the other linebacker. Loss of a yard. Let's go back to Sean Glennon in a second, because so much is weighing on his shoulders coming into this season. People feel he may be the guy who has to play well for this team to reach its potential.
Yeah, his second year as a starter, what you want to see him improve in is his decision making. His percentage should go up. His touchdown to interception ratio should go up. Had a poor game against Georgia in the bowl game. Did not start this game the way he wanted to.
And out of the gun, Brett Clay hands it to Dominique Lindsay. Lucky to get back to the original line of scrimmage. The charge was started by Barry Booker out of Amherst, Virginia. That's a senior who the other players say, hey, he opened our eyes in camp with his improvement.
Well, they had a great summer, and the big guys have to work harder in the summer and get that extra suet off right there at the left defensive tackle. You can see he's improved his quickness from a year ago. If you watched him a year ago, he couldn't have made that move. And Mike, there's no such thing as a safe throw against this defense.
That's right. 3rd and 10. Hall showing blitz and may have caused
there's movement up front. That's the most devastating blitz that Virginia Tech can throw at a new quarterback or a young offensive lineman.
Play the game. Number 11 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
Tom Zamorski is our ACC official here, all ACC crew.
You're going to see these two guys. They like to run this little cross stunt. They work it with the nose tackle, and you can see Brett Clay knew it was coming and wasn't exactly sure what to do about it.
Yeah, and there were 2 free blitzers on the play. They have not picked it up. I guarantee you Bud Foster saw that, and we'll see that some more until they get to where they can block it.
Bud Foster, the long-time fabulous defensive coordinator for Frank Beamer. 3rd and 15. Corner blitz shown. Corner blitz coming. The quick hot pass is complete for a gain of 4 to Jamar Bryant. Cleaning up on the back end is Cam Chancellor. Punt East Carolina.
That's a nice play by Chancellor, because if you're going to blitz a corner and that safety's got to come over and cover, he better be able to tackle in space, because if he misses that tackle, East Carolina advances the football.
Well, this is one of the things about this defense for Virginia Tech. He was a corner last year.
So a second 3 and out. A nice high punt that Royal will fair catch at the 9-yard line. Good job by the East Carolina punter, Matt Dodge. His first punts in major college football, 41 yards. No score. Glennon back on the field after the pick. We welcome you to ESPN College Football, presented by Cars.com. In Southwest Virginia, that plateau between the Blue Ridge and the Alleghenies, where Blacksburg, Virginia, has seen great college football over the last decade plus with Frank Beamer's teams. Number 9 in the country. Early mistake by their quarterback, a turnover. They take over at their own 10-yard line for a second drive.
All the coaches and all the players we talked with this week said Sean Glennon is making quicker decisions. He's seeing things better, making better reads. His first play out of the box to start this season.
Hand to Brandon Orr. His first carry for 5. Our first check on the highlights of the day. Here's Reese Davis in the studio.
All right, Mike, and we'll be watching games all across the country. A lot of scoring going on already in the Big Ten. Debut day for Mark D'Antonio of Michigan State against UAB, also debuting a new coach in Neil Callaway. Here is Javon Ringer, and D'Antonio said we're going to find ways to get him the ball, and that's why Ringer gets it inside the 5. And from there, the big fella, J.U. Colquitt, crashing in. Sparty on top, 7-0.
Still some talent in that Michigan State program. Flag on the play.
Sorry, number 3. Half the distance to the goal.
That is Ike Whitaker, who was the backup quarterback last year, has been moved to split end full time.
You know, when we talked to Skip Holtz at their hotel last night, he said, you know what, our defense is pretty good. And if they can hold up, if our offense can move the ball a little bit, we got to win a baseball score type game. And they didn't score off that first turnover, but field position is certainly in their favor right now, and that's big for East Carolina's defense.
It's 2nd and 12. You take the play and then the flag. Play action for Glennon. Down the middle, the tight end, Sam Wheeler. To the 37. First down, pickup of 29. The tackle made by Chris Maddox, the free safety.
This is one thing they were afraid of. The tight end's very athletic. Here he comes right into the middle of the screen. The middle of the defense opened up, and Glennon that time a good quick decision and hit his big tight end running down the middle. 6'3", 270-pound Sam Wheeler, the most effective throwing threat of the tight end bunch.
And the safeties were lined up 6 yards deep, and they simply can't cover that.
From the 37, Orr eludes the first hit, but the second one's waiting with Van Eskridge, a former linebacker. He gains a yard. Why don't we introduce the East Carolina defense, who came up with the turnover on that first play. Solid across the front. In fact, the whole front 7, Slate, Ross, Robinson, Hands, come back to the linebackers as well. Cotton, the captain, Wilson, and Bell, who had the interception, all returned from last year. Changes in the secondary. Leon Best on one corner. Jarek Hewitt. They've upgraded talent, but there's inexperience. Mentioned Eskridge a moment ago, and Chris Maddox, a sophomore out of New Bern. On the one back, 2 tight ends, 2nd and 9. And Glennon's pass incomplete.
I think that ball got tipped a little bit. He was making a good decision trying to go to an outlet receiver that time.
Josh Hyman, the receiver.
Greg Hudson, defensive coordinator for East Carolina, had hoped that he could get some push up front and tip some balls and get some things going their way early. That's exactly.
You look at this East Carolina defense on the field, their body language. They are not intimidated by Virginia Tech at all. I mean, they know and feel that they can play with this bunch from Blacksburg.
Need to get to the 47, the yellow line, to keep the drive alive. Glennon doesn't like the fit of what they have and what East Carolina shows, so the junior quarterback takes a timeout. You see those.
Welcome to ESPN's Back on Campus Weekend, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods.
Both schools, East Carolina and Virginia Tech, have had their students back on campus for 2 weeks now. Obviously very emotional for the returning students at Virginia Tech. Scoreless here, 6:04 gone in the opening quarter of the 2007 opener for both teams.
East Carolina came out in a 3-man front, and now they're coming out on this after the timeout. It looks like they're going to line up in a 4-man front. So a little mind games going on between Greg Hudson, the defensive coordinator, and Sean Glennon.
3rd and 9 against the 4-man rush. There's time in a throwing lane, and Glennon completes it to Josh Morgan. First down, gain of 10. Pierre Bell made the tackle.
This receiver group for Virginia Tech, very, very skilled. There's 4 seniors. They've got experience. They've had their moments of making spectacular plays, but a little inconsistent throughout playing week in and week out. They can be an outstanding group.
First down run, or going to lose a yard. Reese Davis, an update from Ann Arbor.
And Mike, Michigan had taken a 7-8 on the 2-time champs from the division formerly known as 1AA, and Appalachian State's Dexter Jackson. Hey, no Woodley, no Branch, no Biggs, no Hall, nobody home. Touchdown App State, and we're tied at 7 in the big half.
It's been 5 months telling neighbors App State is not playing A.
It's tough. They're really good.
They are, as Reese mentioned, twice the national champs. Good carry this time out of the spread. Orr gets out to the 45. He'll be about 3 yards shy of the first down.
Now, the thing you see with Brandon Orr that makes him special is his vision, his ability to see where tacklers are coming from, his ability to set up blocks. He makes a beautiful little move in the hole. This doesn't look like it's going to be more than a 2 or 3 yard gain. But watch this cut. Plants the right foot. Leaves a couple guys on the ground. It's all because of his eyes, his vision, his ability to see where potential tacklers are coming from.
A back who carried it for 1,137 yards last year. Reach for a fake here, and the pass complete to the captain, the fullback, Carlton Weatherford, but he is stopped shy of the first down. Bell was on the tackle, and they ruled that he was down before the ball came out. No turnover, but they stopped.
Well, he was stopped short because the ball was thrown behind the fullback. If it's thrown out in front of the fullback where he can catch it and turn upfield, they can get there for the stop.
Bill, that's the man you were talking about, Greg Hudson, the defensive coordinator for ECU.
Greg Hudson is delighted with this situation because they've got a chance to get another big emotional lift, and they're good enough up front to stone this short yardage. If I'm Virginia Tech, I do the play action and I throw for a touchdown. There won't be anybody near the receiver.
It looks like single coverage out top, right? You're right, Coach. If they go that.
At the 41-yard line. So much was talked about with the emotion coming in here, and I think everyone expected it to be 21-0 Virginia Tech 6 minutes into the game, and I think you guys have hit it very well. East Carolina's defense is much better than people.
Not on as sharply as he'd like to be.
Drive started at the 10. This is play 10. It's Glennon. His receivers break free. Josh Hyman to the 4. First and goal, Virginia Tech. I'll pick up a 37.
That's the play action that we talked about. The young secondary, the coach, Rick Smith, longtime friend of mine, says, I have no idea what this young secondary is going to do. Well, the play action sucked them up. Yep. We got a wide open throw here. It's an easy touchdown if it's not slightly overthrown.
I don't know why he fell down. He didn't have to jump. If he just keeps running, he runs into the end
I
zone.
apologize, Sean. It was not overthrown.
Don't tell that quarterback you made a bad throw.
Yeah, no, that was a good throw.
Josh Hyman did not score a touchdown receiving last year. Had one there, but he couldn't keep his feet. Now Orr. Gain of a yard. Chris Maddox, the free safety, up for the stop.
And particularly Sean Glennon. He went to high school, Westfield High School in Virginia, with 2 of the victims as well as the shooter. He flat out told us, I don't know what to expect from myself. Maybe that's why he threw the interception. And he also mentioned the weird thing for me is the 2 places I called home, this could have happened in both areas.
You know, I like his body language, though. Even after the interception, he doesn't look like he's lost any of his confidence right now.
To the air. Pressure, has to hold on for dear life as there's a meeting of Pirates at the quarterback. Scotty Robinson out of Salisbury, North Carolina, a piano player. Hit all the right notes there. Third down.
I think he had his tight end, Sam Wheeler, but he couldn't see him. Wheeler was open in the back of the end zone, and Glennon couldn't see him and did a smart thing. Don't throw it into traffic when you're down that close. Watch Wheeler. He's open right now, but Glennon doesn't see him and has to eat the football.
Third and goal. Morgan at the bottom of the screen. Glennon looks back toward Morgan. Now throws for the tight end. Bounce. Incomplete. Good job by the field judge. Dale Shaw was right there to see that Wheeler scooped it. Field goal time for the Hokies.
It's a nice adjustment by Wheeler when he saw the quarterback start to move a little bit. It starts out inside. He works out with his quarterback, and the ball just thrown behind him. That's a tough catch for a big guy to make.
Virginia Tech has personnel 1 shy for this field goal attempt. It'll be a 20v game, replacing a very good veteran in Brandon Pace. Have a hold of Grant Throckmorton. Deflected, but still gets through. C.J. Wilson might have gotten a hand on it. 14-play drive turns into a field goal and the first points of the 07 season.
Cars.com and in part by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And Chase Freedom. Finally, a credit card that lets you switch between cash back and points.
Blacksburg's a city of 42,000, so the community is so intertwined with the university. And at the Blacksburg Baptist Church, there are 32 flags of nations, each victim from the April 16th dead incident in U.S. history. Their nation of birth is represented on the lawn of the Blacksburg Baptist Church. 3-0 after the Tech field goal. Gavelli kickoff. Shorter this time. Chris Johnson, a good return, hit it, and ran into his own man at the 34-yard line. Set for an update. Once again, here's Reese.
All right, Mike, I want to check in on all the games on the family of networks on ESPN2. J.U. Colquitt has scored again for Michigan State. Mark D'Antonio's team now up by 2 touchdowns on UAB. And on ESPNU, Kirby Freeman named the starting quarterbacks, thrown a touchdown pass to DeLeon Farr. Canes also have a field goal. They're beating up on Marshall 10-0 in the first quarter.
That's the debut of Randy Shannon, who replaces Larry Coker. Now working on our team. An ESPN analyst. From the 34, back to the air goes Brett Clay with time, and a deep throw is in and out of the hands because of the big hit by Victor Harris. It was brought in momentarily by Steven Rogers, but Macho, as he's known.
You better have a lot of self-confidence if you're a cornerback and you're number one wearing number one, and you're going to call yourself Macho. You better be able to make some plays, and he made one here. This is a beautiful throw by Clay, and Harris just puts his headgear right on the football. Just popped it out with his helmet and took away a big play for East Carolina.
No game experience before today. Run with Chris Johnson. We're just a couple yards above 3rd and 8. Coach, East Carolina last year. Remember, this program was inherited by Skip Holtz after 3 wins in the prior 2 years. And Skip has turned it around. And last year, getting this team to 2nd in their division in Conference USA. 7 games overall. First winning season since 2000. And to a bowl appearance where they lost to South Florida in the PapaJohns.com Bowl.
Well, the big thing was conference. They won 6 of their last 8 games. And they're out here, they're playing toe-to-toe with this Virginia Tech team. I don't think anybody out there is intimidated. I really don't.
4 wides, 1 back, 3rd and 9. Pressure comes. That blitz Todd was talking about. This one's up for, and it is intercepted and dropped. Out of bounds, so will be ruled incomplete as DJ Parker tried to bring it in on the run, and we'll have 4th down. Skip Holtz.
Well, there's a miscommunication there because the quarterback threw the deep go pattern and the wide receiver broke out for an out pattern, and very lucky that one wasn't a turnover.
Todd, isn't that a function of just not working together much?
Absolutely. I mean, how many reps could he have?
To get the snap off before a potential stoppage for replay from upstairs. Royal lets it bounce, takes it to the 26. Hemmed in and brought down at the 30-yard line by Travis Williams and Devon Drew. The kick was 39. The net was 35. 3:08 left, opening quarter. 3rd drive coming for the Hokies. First one an interception, 2nd one a field goal.
We are the Hokies.
We will prevail.
We will prevail.
We will prevail.
We are
Virginia Tech.
Other than the East Carolina fans in one corner of Lane Stadium, it is hard not to see as you look live outside. Beautiful stadium. Maroon everywhere you look, and orange as well. The 2 colors for Tech. That pass caught on 1st down by Josh Morgan. Quentin Cotton made the tackle. The gain was 17.
You know, after that last offensive possession where they came out with only the field goal and not the touchdown, Sean Glennon was sitting on the bench. Mike O'Kane, the quarterback coach, right there with his arm around him, talking in his ear. And that first play to start this possession, no hesitation by Sean. Made the fake, set his foot, made a nice throw to the outside.
That was his best throw of the day.
That pick on the very first play from scrimmage. Since then stabilizing. Or to the left, got a nice block across midfield. The ball comes out. And ECU takes over right around the midfield.
Again, we've said this East Carolina defense not intimidated at all by the Hokie offense. This is a good run by Orr. A little stretch play. He's got a nice play and an outstanding play by Quentin Cotton coming from inside out, puts his helmet on the football and knocks it out.
And Jarek Hewitt, the cornerback, comes up with a recovery.
And virtually everything that can happen to keep East Carolina's morale up and to keep them in this game is happening, and they're earning it by hard hitting and not being intimidated.
Patrick Pinckney has come in at quarterback for East Carolina. You saw Orr's responsibility. The junior Pinckney, who also has never taken a college football snap. Flag down as Pinckney, much more of a runner compared to Brett Clay. Gains a yard, and we'll check the flag.
Not sure they had enough guys on the line of scrimmage, but I think we're going to see a little bit more of maybe a West Virginia type offense with Pinckney in. More of a runner, shotgun stuff. It's interesting when we asked Skip which one of your quarterbacks you think is more capable of managing the game, and they thought Pinckney. You know, he'll have better poise. I mean, he's a little calmer. I think Brett Clay looked pretty good in his first couple series, but we'll see what Pinckney has right now.
He is the son of a former East Carolina defensive back and a Detroit Lion draft pick, Reggie Pinckney. He is not related to Jimmy Pinckney, James Pinckney, who started 38 games the last 3 years for ECU, including the bowl game loss to South Florida. Not related.
And he's just changing the play.
First and 15, Pinckney keeping and getting back most of the penalty yardage before Vince Hall brings him down.
He's very bright and he's very much in control. The way he moved up and down the line of scrimmage on his second play ever in college football was very impressive. He got it called, he got it run, you made a nice game. From this, you can't see his poise up and down the line of scrimmage, telling everybody what's happening. And there's the ever-present Vince Hall on the tackle. Surprise, surprise. One of about 20 on the day, I guarantee you.
A sprint to the left and a rolling throw is brought in by the Augusta, Georgia native Stephen Rogers at the 46-yard line. Gain of 6, 3rd and 4 coming up. Macho Harris the tackle.
Nice job of moving the quarterback. You know, when you play a defense like Virginia Tech, you can't set your quarterback up in the same spot all the time. Nice job by Skip Holtz and the offensive staff, Todd Fitch, offensive coordinator, moving the quarterback around, utilizing Pinckney's mobility, getting him outside the pocket to make the nice throw.
And a perfect way to take on Virginia Tech, which is to dare them to throw the football. They've got 8 and 9 near the line of scrimmage almost every snap.
Haven't made a 3rd down conversion yet. But they will here with Chris Johnson to the 34-yard line. A pickup of 12 and an East Carolina first down of the year.
Tiniest details win football games. When Brandon Orr popped that good run with good blocking, he caught the ball up. When this guy popped through, Chris Johnson, he secured the football when he was being tackled. And when he ended up on the ground, the ball was still in his hands. The most important thing in football is ball security. Look at this. Great job by Chris Johnson.
And Chris Ellis, the outstanding defensive end, was actually too quick. He was so quick across the ball, he ran right past the play.
Final minute of a somewhat surprising opening quarter. And another big opening for Dominique Lindsay to the 14-yard line. And look at the pop on the Pirates, bouncing up and down on that far side. Flowers, the tackle, gain of 20.
There are some very, very uneasy coaches on the Virginia Tech coaching staff. This is worst-case scenario. You make mistake after mistake. You give these guys encouragement, and the next thing you know, they're knocking you off the ball, and they're running down the field.
And I think part of it is because of Pinckney's presence in the game, Virginia Tech is thinking he's going to pull it and run it, and they've hit him with the zone play inside a couple plays in a row.
He also made a nice throw.
Yep.
In the red zone, reading it, giving it off that time for Lindsay, and Xavier Adibi will make the tackle on the play that will spin the first quarter to an end. So Virginia Tech had a nice drive. Frank Beamer's team moving down the field. They couldn't punch it in inside the 5. A field goal there. 2 Virginia Tech turnovers, an interception, and the fumble by Brandon Orr has allowed East Carolina to stay in it and move the ball down to the Tech 13 when the second quarter begins. A day of emotions, memories, healing, and looking forward. And then a football game. The way this community has gathered for so many years with joy. After 1, Hokies 3, Pirates nothing, but knocking on the door. This afternoon's game being broadcast on ESPN HD, presented by Pioneer Kuro HD TV. With Todd Blackledge, Bill Curry, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi will join us later. College Game Day crew on site as well. Mike Tirico, glad you're with us. Second quarter, Skip Holt, East Carolina team has certainly held its own, trailing 3-0. A direct snap to Dwayne Harris, the redshirt freshman, a high school quarterback. When they wanted to get the ball in his hands, they moved him to wide receiver, but he comes out, takes the direct snap, and gains 7 yards.
And the good thing about calling that play right there is they were out of the timeout because of the end of the quarter, so they had a chance to make sure everybody was straight on it and get his hands on the football, let him make a play.
I am really, really impressed with East Carolina. This preparation, the players responding, big down right here, needless to say.
And it is Harris once again to take the snap. So we've had 3 quarterbacks in the first quarter in a play who had never taken snaps at this level. On the read, he hands it off for the first down to Chris Johnson inside the 4-yard line. Xavier Adibi, the tackle.
Well, we're seeing a combination of a couple things, Coach. First of all, there's some pretty good interior blocking right now by East Carolina. And then the threat of the quarterback keeping and putting it outside has put this Virginia Tech defense a little bit back on their line up the field as quickly as they normally do.
Well, you're exactly right. Matt Butler, Fred Hicks, Doug Palmer, that interior threesome, the guards and center, really have surprised I'm a surprise, and I guarantee you the defensive front of Virginia Tech is more surprised, and now they got first down at the 4-yard line. And every time you take a young offensive line like this that comes into a game thinking, oh, gee, these guys are so great. Well, they're not so great. You find out they're human beings if you just knock them off the ball.
Virginia Tech is so used to playing defense downhill. I mean, running downhill at you, and right now they're not playing downhill.
Ready to take the shotgun snap with Johnson and Lindsey flanking him. And the give this time is to Lindsey, bouncing it to the outside, and Adibi shows him the sideline. They will mark him just about inside the 3. This Virginia Tech defense, how good last year? About as statistically good and as intimidating as you could find. They were the top defense in yards allowed for the 2nd straight season, pass yards allowed, and points allowed, 11 per game. They had 4 shutouts. 9 of their 13 opponents scored 10 or less.
It was really after their 2nd consecutive loss to Boston College that the defense really took over.
Patrick Pinckney comes back under center to take the exchange from Fred Hicks and gives to Johnson, who is in for the touchdown. Chris Johnson gets his 6th career rushing touchdown. What a East Carolina after Orr fumbled it around midfield for the Hokies.
Folks, this is nothing but old-style goal line blocking. Josh Kaufman gets a huge push. He knocks Martin so far out, there's a big, big hole. Great job up front, just flat whip people.
And how about Jay Sawhoff, the other tight end?
That's right. Number 91 was kind of in an H-back position, came in short motion, and did a beautiful job opening that hole into the end zone.
Well, Quentin Cotton, number 50, who you saw there, forced the turnover with his hit on Orr. The extra point is added by sophomore Ben Hartman. 7-3 ECU.
Take a look. Watch Sonhalter, number 91, get right into Adibi, an All-American linebacker. And Chris Johnson did the rest. Who would have thunk it? East Carolina up 7-3.
Up excitement for the long-anticipated start of the season has been replaced by an uneasiness here in Lane Stadium. Bud Foster, the defensive coordinator, the Frank Broyles Award winner for Best Defensive Coordinator in the nation last year, surrounded by his defense as these fans just watched East Carolina go down the field, 9 plays and 52 yards, and take a 7-3 lead. Kickoff return from the 4 by number 4, Eddie Royal, wrapped up by Travis Williams and Darrell Reynolds at the 20-yard line.
There's certain things you simply do not do with a big underdog up front, and the ball is knocked loose by Quentin Cotton, picked up by Jarek Hewlett. And that's how East Carolina is allowed to then have a drive and be ahead in the game. And they're the big underdog.
And you look at this graphic, time of possession. I normally don't think that's too big, but last year, East Carolina, they were 7-0 in games they won time of possession and 0-6 in the games they lost it.
Glennon, first toss, complete to Josh Morgan, who is hemmed in, brought down after a gain of 2. And let's check in with Reese Davis in the studio.
All right, Mike, and we check in once again in the big house. Michigan and Appalachian State, and Dexter Carter is loose again for App State. Gets it down inside the 5. App State, two-time 1AA champions in the division formerly known as 1AA. Tight game there. Ohio State and Penn State have leads. And, Mike, you warned your neighbors about App State. Now you've got tremendous street cred.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's usually a term associated with me, right? Thanks, Reese. Keep an eye on that for us. Quick pass, complete to Eddie Royal, and it'll be right at the first down marker and past it at the 32-yard.
The young secondary, the question mark for East Carolina, not in terms of talent, but in terms of experience and how they would react. They've had the one moment when they blew it on the play action, but other than that, Todd, I think they've played very well.
I think they have. They're playing with confidence. You know, they play a lot of coverages where the safeties take themselves out of the middle of the field. They want their safeties up around for run coverage. That puts a lot of pressure on the corners.
Brandon Orr, who fumbled on the last drive, is the lone back. His first carry since is into the line and a gain of a couple of yards. C.J. Wilson starting it. Coach Curry, I want to come back to the emotion that we talked about and the buildup of that. And now you sense once Virginia Tech didn't vault, a letdown perhaps?
Well, I don't think you could call it a letdown as much as it is emotional fatigue. There's been so much emotion attached to this moment. There's been so much anticipation. I think the guys can actually get drained. And since none of us has ever been through this before, we didn't anticipate it, but that's what it looks like.
You can sense it from body language from above and the quiet in the crowd. Glennon is hit, wrapped up, and will just take the sack as Zach Slate holds on to bring him down for a loss. 3rd and long coming up.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of a situation of a quarterback who maybe doesn't want to let go of it. He knew he threw an interception earlier. Good pressure inside. Poor job of blitz protection by the running back. But watch Glennon, nowhere to go when the pressure comes up. You either got to get what you can get and go down or throw that ball away.
That's Carlton Weatherford, team captain, who ducked his head and just did not do a good job of picking up the blitzer. Nice job of body control by Zach Slate.
Now it's one of those Virginia Tech type down distance. 3rd and 4-13. The pass is short of it. Sam Wheeler caught it at the 35. That's 7 shy of the first down, and the Hokies will punt it away.
I'm just impressed with, how sound, and you mentioned it, Coach, they had the one bust underneath, come up and make a good tackle in open field. I mean, they are playing right with the Hokies and playing with a lot of confidence right now.
They have a great secondary coach in Rick Smith, and I may be a little biased, but he really coaches, he makes his guys do that stuff.
Brent Bowden is a new punter replacing Nick Schmidt for the Hokies. Stephen Rogers fields at the 20. Cannot get to the corner. Spectacular open field play by Josh Hyman. As always with Virginia Tech, familiar names on special teams. Their best players make big plays. The net was 48. East Carolina has the ball, but they also have the lead.
ESPN's College Football, brought to you by Volkswagen. When you get into a Volkswagen, it's Nike Zoom. Visit Nike.com to learn how quick is deadly. And Beck's, 4 natural ingredients, 1 distinctive beer. Beck's, life is what you choose.
We will prevail. We are Virginia Tech. Those words resonate throughout this campus after Nikki Giovanni, the professor and poet, said those words at the end of the convocation that President Bush and First Lady Laura Bush were at. And that's just one of the many symbols. That memorial is up in front of Burris Hall campus building. You saw the logo on the field. That ribbon of remembrance with the VT logo in maroon and the orange ribbon. That will be on the uniforms of every Virginia Tech athletic team as this season goes forward. Again, Dwayne Harris is the quarterback. Chris Johnson is moving the pile for a first down gain of about 6.5.
You watch this game, and you talked about the maybe being drained after all the energy in the beginning. The crowd is quiet. Virginia Tech needs a spark. I mean, they need a spark in this football game. I don't think their offense is right in the position to give it to them right now. I think it's their defense. This #1 ranked defense from a year ago, they've got to step up and make a play to turn the emotional tide of this game back in their favor.
Team that only gave up 91 rush yards per game. Tech. Back to quarterback Patrick Pinckney. His pass is complete to Dominique Lindsay, who had the last carry to get to the 35 and a first down. And let's check in with Reese Davis for an update.
All right, Mike, the reigning champs are underway in the swamp, Florida and Western Kentucky. Percy Harvin, the multi-dimensional wide receiver running back, gets it down to the 1. Tebow paid it off with a quarterback sneak. Gators on top by a touchdown. And after Dexter Jackson's fine running, App State paid it off with a touchdown. They're tied in the big house.
Well, we got the champs of both sides of college football, the big schools and the smaller schools in action. Pinckney pitching to Lindsay on the edge to the 41-yard line. If you're just joining us, Rob Cass, who was supposed to be the starting quarterback, was arrested a week ago for DWI. So he is suspended. So Skip Holtz and this team, as you look at our Dick's Fresh Start, had to put together a game plan on Sunday. And these Carolina quarterbacks, a variety, have done a very good job.
Yeah, I mean, Cass won the job in spring. So all summer up until last week was getting him ready to start this game. Well, now he's out. They've gotten 3 new guys who have never played ready to play, and at a very high level.
I jokingly asked us, are you going to go Spurrier on us and change by snap? He said yes, and look what it's doing to Virginia Tech. They have to communicate and get on the right page, and straight ahead running is Harris to the 45-yard line. He'll be just a hair shy, I believe, of the first down.
When you go empty backfield, Todd, what's the first thought of the linebackers? Quarterback draw. Well, it worked. They didn't call it. They didn't meet him at the line of scrimmage. The blocking once again was good, and here they are, 3rd and inches. East Carolina so impressive, not only in their execution, but in their play calling.
Doing a nice job mixing up formations, too. They spread them out one play. They go 2 tight ends the next, changing quarterbacks.
Play clock at 5. Out of the gun on 3rd and less than a yard. High snap, great catch, flag down, and a first down across midfield, but you can hear the whistles. This is going to kill the play and push ECU back 5.
Well, that's a tough penalty right there, because that was an easy conversion on a first down. It goes into Virginia Tech territory. They've got this 7-3 lead. Now all of a sudden you back it up and make it 3rd and 6 against this Virginia Tech defense. That is a very critical penalty right there for East Carolina.
But it's the kind of thing you would have expected from East Carolina in this game. You expect them to come out and have a little trouble executing, so some of that stuff's going to happen. I think this is an awfully big play. Can they make a first down? Clay back on the field.
Had been in for half a quarter.
Brett, go in here and make us a first down, buddy.
Coach Holtz is back watching in the studio. Your son is going full-out ball coach on us here today, Lou. 3rd and 5.5. Brett Clay throws incomplete. The throw was not that bad. Devon Drew, the tight end, the former high school quarterback. Wasn't he played quarterback? Everybody else is. He just couldn't reel it in, and that penalty cost him a chance to keep a drive alive.
But here's an important point. Brett Clay wasn't sitting over there pouting. He came in and made a nice throw. It should have been a first down. They have really impressed me with their execution.
Quick snap to try to hold the pressure off the rush, and what a kick from Matt Dodge. It'll go the distance and be a touchback. So the net will be 40, but the kick will be 60. Very surprising start to this game. All serene outside Lane Stadium, but a little uptight for the home folks inside.
The game gives people a chance to be together.
It's about more. It's about something more.
There's a special bond here. The Hokie Nation is something special. Hokies.
There's been a lot of anticipation, a lot of unknown. The 20 weeks since April 16. What would the emotions be like in this stadium? What kind of a boost would it be for the football team? The emotions matched, I think, what people thought. Thus far, the performance on the field has not done that. Brandon Orr with a carry for a yard. Of course, one of the reasons a lot of this emotion has come together, just to remind you, Sung-Wee Cho, 23-year-old English major, killed 32 people and then took his own life on April 16th in 2 separate incidents one in a dorm, West Ambler Johnson, just not too far from the stadium, and then just a short distance from Central Campus at Norris Hall. 25 others were wounded. 19 of those 25 have come back to school here at Virginia Tech after the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. That this campus has been back on campus and in class for 2 weeks, and this is part of their healing process together. Sam Wheeler, the tight end, spilled in the open field by Jarek Hewitt. Guys, as we have such a good football game, don't want to get away from that, but the moment and the buildup has been so emotional for these people. It's such a unique feel as we spent time around this campus this week, how it really has come together and united.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, it's, you know, obviously football is huge to the people here, and they've looked forward to this day of coming together. And Coach Beamer talked about, you know, Hokie people, they just want to get together. They want to be with each other. They want to come together. And, you know, the game is important, but it certainly is secondary to that part of it.
3rd and 3, a throw, or what a catch, but a great open field play by Quentin Cotton. You can hear the enthusiasm of this East Carolina defense, which is not blinking in Blacksburg.
Quentin Cotton is tired of hearing about Vince Hall and a DB. He said, I can play a little football myself. This is a zone blitz. He's dropped off. He's got his eyes on the football. He breaks beautifully. Head across the bow. That's how you tackle people.
And again, you know, so many times you see this too. You come into a game and you hear all about another team's unit. You know, the defensive team of Virginia Tech, and this East Carolina team says, hey, we're pretty good too. And they're showing it today.
Put some good heat on the punter, but a nice job by Bowden to get it away. Here is Rogers with the return. Picked up a block and another one, and is able to get to the 29. A lot of running for a return of 7 after a punt of 52 yards. Well, Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines on ABC. Air Herbstreit is on its way from nonstop Blacksburg to Berkeley. Deshaun Jackson and the Cal Bears look to avenge last year's season opening loss to Eric Ainge and the Tennessee Volunteers. Brent Musburger and Kirk will have it for you 8 Eastern tonight on ABC. How about Eric Ainge with those fingers taped together?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, he's got big hands, so, you know, he's a big, strong kid. He doesn't always throw a perfect spiral anyway, but it'll be interesting to see how that affects him throwing the ball in a game-type situation. Obviously, he's done it in practice, and it hasn't been a problem for him.
Fans sensing they need to light a fire under their guys. Back to quarterback is Dwayne Harris, and he runs for a couple of yards. Aaron Andrews on the sideline.
Like the message from both the defense and offense right now. The players, when you hear star players like Vince Hall say, this is as big a game for me as when I was a freshman and I played against USC. Brandon Orr saying, this is the biggest game ever here. I mean, so much put into this one game.
You're right, Aaron. You talk about games they played in the past against Miami, in-state rival Virginia, but the players had a higher anticipation for this game here today. Chris Johnson again. Now, it looks like, Coach, that Bud Foster and the defense has kind of readjusted their mind to that West Virginia stop the spread kind of look.
Yeah. Well, Bud probably had a little discussion with them, asked them if they'd like to do stadium steps at the half. After all this emotion, we also got to tackle some people and stop getting knocked off the ball. And that's what's happened in this series. I see a little more zip, Todd.
And this is where the East Carolina quarterbacks have to be very smart with the football. Don't throw one to them. Your defense is playing great. Punting the football is not a terrible thing in a game like this.
I got to say, it's a good timeout by Skip Holtz. It's 3rd down. You can just kind of sense you're getting on the edge of the cliff here. Let me just back everybody off here for a minute.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Holtz family. You know, Skip didn't exactly grow up in a vacuum. He knows a lot about when to call timeouts. Just being around his dad from the football standpoint and his mom from being a great human being standpoint, the guy's impressive, and that he will do things like that. I don't know when I've been more surprised and impressed by a preparation than this one by East Carolina.
Well, we talked about it. I mean, that they had to get 2 different quarterbacks ready other than Rob Cass in a week's amount of time, get them the reps, and they also now have, you know, done these other little things where they Harris into the mix, and for the most part their execution level has been outstanding. So I mean, it really is impressive what they've been able to accomplish in a short amount of time.
Skip, before this stop at East Carolina, was down in South Carolina with Lou as his offensive coordinator for a half dozen years. This is his 2nd stint as a head coach. The first one was laying some of the foundation as Connecticut moves from what was then known as 1AA to 1A, where Randy Edsall is now taking that program forward in the Big East. Out of the timeout, 3rd and 6. And Pinckney throws down the middle, had a man open, but could not hook up with Jamar Bryant, and that will bring up 4th down.
And when you're throwing a post pattern like that, you want to throw that out where he can go get it. He threw it back behind him a little bit. He had him. He just threw that ball a little bit in a difficult spot. If he throws it out where he can run to get it, he might still be running.
Skip is sick. He sets this up all day long. You got it exactly right, Todd. You throw the post toward the post.
Good hang time on the punch. Royal at the 21, spinning. He's got a wall here, folks. Eddie Royal has a wall. Picking up another block. Down the sideline, pushed out of bounds at midfield. Van Estridge took it to the sideline. The punt was 45, but Royal brought it back 30. Here's Reedy.
Mike, in the big house, it is still going on. Appalachian State is doing his best Ohio State and USC impersonation against Michigan. Dexter Jackson, who made it to the NCAA Regionals in the 200 meters, has scored again. Mountaineers up by 7, and they have the ball back.
You know, the one thing about Michigan that people didn't realize, they lost so much defensive talent, sure, especially in that secondary. And App State, as Reese said, a team that has won a championship at the next level.
They won 2.
Yes, back-to-back. Glennon takes over from midfield. Will they go for a home run? Double coverage deep. He is flushed and throws. It is
good
caught.
Decision.
Good job, too, to keep his feet in bounds by Justin Harper, the 6'4" receiver.
You know, you got the spark. You didn't get it from your defense, Glennon. The home run wasn't there, but instead of throwing it into traffic, find an outlet. Advance the football. Let's huddle up and make another play. Very good decision and a good throw by Sean Glennon.
And Todd, you signaled to me that they were going to do that. They were going to go for the big one.
The gain was 19. The running back is Kenny Lewis Jr. giving Brandon Orr a rest. Kenny will be 23 in October, former baseball player with the Cincinnati Reds. That one didn't look good at the start and doesn't look good at the end either. A loss of 9. The Hokies stopped thinking that a false start flag was going to come. It did not.
I think everybody moved that the ball didn't get snapped, but there's no flag on the field, and so they're going to take the loss of yardage. Watch the movement. No, the center moved first, so that's why there's no penalty.
I used to be one of those fat guys that hiked the ball, and what happened was the center snapped the ball on the wrong count. Yeah. You do not have friends in the huddle when you go back because everybody gets hit in the mouth and nobody moves. You hike the ball. That's what happens.
Ryan
Bad
Schumann.
mistake, Ryan. Don't do that.
He's moving over from left guard after the loss of 9 out of the gun. High toss is tipped into the air by Morgan, and luckily no one behind him. It's incomplete. We'll have 3rd and long coming up.
All day long, there's been this miasma, this sort of a pall hanging here. Virginia Tech not playing real well. Beamer ball bounces the ball down the field. Something off special teams. They hit the big pass, and then the offense goes into reverse, and it's now 3rd and 20. Yeah. That's what you do if you want to keep East Carolina in the game.
And you said it, Todd, right away. What Skip Holtz told all of us last night. If we win this game, it has to be a baseball score. Well, this is an American League type score, but it is a baseball score right now. 3rd and 19. Glennon hit as he throws. Incomplete, trying to get it to Orr. The pressure came in his face from Marcus Hands, who had a couple of big hits on this drive, and it's 4th down.
Well, the fans are booing right now, but Sean Glennon had nowhere to go with the football. This was excellent coverage downfield by East Carolina. It's 3rd and 19. Cover everything deep, make the quarterback throw underneath, and then go make the tackle.
And the right guard, Sergio Render, is shaken up.
But Sean has enough time to make a play, but there's nobody open downfield, and he has to go underneath, and it would have been well short of the 1st down, even if he makes the completion.
How about that play by Hands? You see why Render, the guard, got shaken. Yeah. He just physically took him through the man, knocked him down, and then hit the court. What a play by Hands.
East Carolina is going to be brutal on defense as this year progresses. I'm telling you, they got studs up front. They're rolling 8 guys in the 4 position, and the young secondary is getting more confident and playing their coverages properly.
You got to remember, this is a team last year that held West Virginia, that explosive offense, to 153 yards rushing. They lost the game, but I'm not sure anybody defended West Virginia any better than East Carolina did a year ago.
They stay safe in case of a fake. Brent Bowden punts it, and let's see. The ball did not cross the goal line. It's where the ball is, not the man is. What a job by Brandon Dillard to keep it free. And it'll be a 98-yard field for the Pirates to deal with.
Beamer ball. That's Beamer ball. They work on it more than anybody in the country. Other people try to duplicate their efforts. Now, people who watch NFL are going to say, oh, he was in the end zone. That has nothing to do with it.
Right.
In college football, if it doesn't break the plane of the goal line, it goes where you touch it, and that means on the 2. Great job by the special teams for the second consecutive time.
And down by the students. This time, it's Cass. No game. Or Clay, I should say. No game.
Well, what's de jour's first name?
Well, let's see. Brett or Patrick or Dwayne?
De jour.
That one was Brett. Brett Clay started the game. Patrick Pinckney has taken the shotgun snaps out of the spread. Did take a couple under center. Dwayne Harris has done that as well. So here with a fullback and under center, they go to Clay, and the Virginia Tech players go to their fans.
We haven't seen it yet, but here's where you got to really make sure you get the snap first. Make sure you secure the snap, and Brett Clay's got to call timeout. Play clock was all the way down on him.
There aren't many places you go where the fans are calling for a safety.
Yeah.
The fans take the safety signal of the official. They've seen this defense and special teams change games so much. As you see up top, East Carolina, 1 timeout left. Virginia Tech, 2 yellow dashes, 2 timeouts remaining in the half. Well, you see the show of support, the Corps of Cadets, everyone else here at Virginia Tech, but it is spread around the country, and certainly after the tragedy of 4/16, Ohio State's spring game. Jim Tressel's team with the VT logo. The VT logo in the stands. That was at Penn State and Ohio State. Duffy Waldorf, the many PGA Tour golfers wore hats with the Virginia Tech logo on the NASCAR circuit. So many of the drivers with Virginia ties also doing it. Major League Soccer players, the entire Washington Nationals team, the New York Yankees as well. And some of the very few people who are Virginia Tech alums, like Saunders, the pitcher there for the Angels, all showing Virginia Tech spirit over time. It's been a wonderful outpouring from the sports community. From his own end zone, Clay. Look out! Intercepted! Macho Harris, Virginia Tech. No official signal. I believe he's in for a touchdown. Discussing it here. He went airborne, and they're still discussing it. They're checking where the foot was as he went out of bounds. He was pushed out of bounds as he extended the ball to break the plane. Touchdown!
Well, you know that's where Skip Holtz during that timeout pulled Brett Clay aside and said, we're going to call a pass for you, and if it's not there, you throw this thing over my head, out of bounds. Do not force anything in there. It's a 2-deep coverage. There's a safety over the top, a corner underneath, and he threw it right between them. I mean, that was an easy play for Victor Harris. They got the spark from their special teams, and now the defense, the vaunted Virginia Tech defense, sealed the deal on this drive.
You see the ball comes out, and you have to make sure, does he have possession of that ball as he crosses the plane, because going out of bounds, a fumble out of the side, once he's crossed the end zone, will be a touchdown, and this play is being reviewed.
A great effort to score at the end of that play by Harris, but that was too easy. I mean, you don't come into a place like Virginia Tech against a defense like that and make a throw like that. And Brett Clay will learn. I mean, this is his first college game. If it's not there, you got to throw that thing away.
Okay, the touchdown is confirmed via replay. One more look at it.
Todd, you think maybe Harris baited him a little bit with that 2 deep as if he were a hard corner, then he dropped off?
Well, he might have, but the ball was so low to get over his head.
Just for a point of perspective, as he went down, the ball hit an East Carolina player, never touched the ground, and was caught in bounds in the back of the end zone by defensive lineman Orion Martin. So it would have been a touchdown no matter what. Would not have had an offside issue there, as a penalty marker comes down before this extra point. Or an out of bounds issue, I should say.
Time after time you come into this stadium and you think you got a chance to win, and certainly East Carolina does, but Virginia Tech just takes the life out of you with plays exactly like that. But that happened, Todd, as you said, because of the special teams.
Yep, special teams won the field position, flipped the field on East Carolina, and then a bad decision by the young quarterback Clay. Unsportsmanlike. You know what I think they were doing? I think they were yelling out signals and jumping around, and they're trying to create a false start.
Well, Beamer ball is thought of as special teams, but certainly what defense has done here. Frank is now beginning his 21st season here, 70 total touchdowns.
That's a mentality, too. I mean, that's think and score. It's not just think and make a big play. It's think and make a big play and let's score with it, too.
Judd Dunleavy on to add the extra point and make it a 3-point lead. And he does, and it's 17-yard return for a score. The two big hot spots in college football this first Saturday, a couple hours into the season, here in Blacksburg and Ann Arbor, Michigan. A couple of teams that we thought would roll, running into some difficulty as we go on. Let's go to the studio, and here's Reese Davis.
All right, Mike, coming up on the Pontiac Performance Report, we'll show you exactly what Appalachian State is doing to Michigan. Mountaineers still have the lead in that one. Randy Shannon making his debut as head coach at Miami. The new look Canes are there. We'll also go back to Blacksburg for more from the College Game Day guys. See you guys in just a little bit.
Okay, Reese, wonder if it's hard to get Coach Holtz on the other monitors here as he's watching Skip's team. There, because you guys talked about
Absolutely.
it was the don't. Oh, he did.
Yeah, and he was not happy. I mean, you could see him right there talking to Brett Clay as after the kickoff. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I know we won't see Brett Clay the rest of this half. We may not see him the rest of the game. He's got two other guys that, have played pretty well, and he is not pleased with that particular decision.
May I play devil's advocate for a second? Why do you call a pass there? Why don't you just run, and get out of dodge?
Here's why. Because if you punt the ball from 10.5 yards, 11 yards deep, they're either going to block it or they're going to run it in on you, or they're going to have the ball on your 31-yard line. So you take it, you take a nice safe throw
on second down. You take the shot on second down,
and you make, and you 9 times out of 10 you're going to hit that because they're in a coverage where they're not going to play tight. It's a good call if you can protect them, and they did. They had perfect protection.
You guys done this for a while, huh? 10-7. See how East Carolina responds to this body blow. Deep kick. Chris Johnson, no return. The governor of Virginia is here today and standing by now with our Tom Rinaldi. Tom?
Thanks a lot, Mike. Here with Governor Tim Kaine. Governor, you convened a panel to review what had happened here April 16th. I know it was a grueling and long process, a very comprehensive report. What's the number one thing that needs to change moving forward from this tragedy?
Tom, I think in Virginia, early identification and then treatment of people with mental illnesses. This young man had mental illnesses in his high school, but Tech never got the records. Tech didn't do everything it should do, and the state didn't do everything we should do. So I hope this will provide momentum for mental health reform.
What is the number one thing you learned about this community and this campus in the last 4.5 months?
How tremendously resilient it is. You know, Virginia Tech is like no other place in terms of the ability to come together. I mean, here's an amazing fact. The students who were injured, they've all come back to Tech. And students who were killed, their parents have sent their brothers and sisters back to Tech. That tells you something about how deeply people feel affection for this university.
You have a son who's a huge Hokie fan. Yeah. You come to Hokie games. Why did you think it was important for you to be here today?
Well, there was nowhere else I was going to be today because I love this university. And it has been through a horrible time, but we can be stronger. We can learn, get better, and that's why I wanted to be here.
Governor, thanks very much for your time. We appreciate it. Back to you, Michael.
Tom, thank you. Chris Johnson, a run of 5. It is 2nd and 5. The quarterback these two plays, Pinckney, who keeps it there for 3 yards, left 3rd and 1.5 yards coming up. The Virginia Tech story and the wounds for the families was brought back to the forefront earlier this week as the report that Tom alluded to came out. Virginia Tech officials were slow in responding, they felt, after the initial shootings. 2 hours and 15 minutes after 2 were killed in the dorm, and then the rest of the massacre occurred. As the governor mentioned, the mental condition of Cho was something they were unaware, and perhaps privacy laws when we look at in the future to help alleviate a situation like that, and the communication between the medical officers and the families after the tragedy. All things in the review that the governor put out and the report that was released on Thursday. 3rd and a couple out. The throw is complete for a first down to Philip Henry, senior out of Elizabeth City, in front of DJ Parker. A gain of 9 and a big stabilizer with 92 seconds left.
A nice job of moving the quarterback again, moving Pinckney out of the pocket, giving him a lane to throw. See, he's not as tall. I mean, Pinckney's he's listed as 6 foot. He's probably really only 5'11". Get him out, on the edge a little bit where he can see a little bit better, and he made a nice throw for the first down.
Again, East Carolina, the one yellow line under ECU at the top there. Just one timeout remaining. Brandon Simmons gets his first carry and meets Brandon Flowers. Nice to share a name. Loss of about 5.
He came on a corner blitz. Brandon Flowers, I mean, that was perfectly timed by Bud Foster calling it at that time because he ran right into the area where the running play was going. No way for Pinckney to get out of that play. Watch Brandon Flowers. Timed it perfectly. Unable to get blocked because he was there so quickly in front of Dominic Lindsay, and he made the play.
2nd and 14. Remember, Tech has 2 timeouts. Stop or a loss of yardage. They might take one, force East Carolina to a 3rd down play. This pass is caught by Steven Rogers. Inbounds, takes a hit at the 38-yard line with 50 seconds to go. Cam Martin made the tackle.
What Skip Holtz is thinking about right now is we do not want to punt this football. We want to see if we can run the clock down and see if we can get it run out. They're going to have to make a 1st down or they will have to punt.
It's up to 3rd down and 10 for East Carolina.
He's also thinking, if we can get to the locker room down 10-7, it's still like a Tigers-Indians game right now.
Yes,
we're okay.
We're deep into the bad bullpens, right? 3rd and 9, and they will keep it on the ground. And the run for Lindsay is right at the 1st down mark with a dozen seconds left. Flowers makes the tackle. See if they take a shot at the end zone or in the half.
I'll tell you one thing, I'm more surprised than the score right now has been East Carolina's ability to run the football on Virginia Tech. They have run the football much better than Virginia Tech has run it against East Carolina's defense.
Yeah, right there. Doug Palmer, the right guard. DJ Scott, the right tackle. Devon Drew, the tight end. Nice job keeping those guys occupied. You don't see the Virginia.
3-year-old Skip Holtz, who I mentioned spent the prior 6 years as the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach with Lou at South Carolina. Before that, assistant with Bobby Bowden and Earl Bruce at Colorado State, and then with his dad at Notre Dame, and then moving on to take over Connecticut, the opportunity to be a head coach at a very young age. He's still, as I just said, 43. And then after the time at South Carolina, going here to an East Carolina program, this wasn't a great job sitting out there. John Thompson is one of the most well-liked people in college coaching. Just couldn't keep Steve Logan's momentum going from earlier in the 90s. They had 3 wins in 2 years, so Skip did not take over a really comfortable pair of shoes, but he's got a nice fit here in these 2 years, including 7 wins last year and a lot of earned respect in the first half. Final play of the half is a beautiful catch by Philip Henry with 5 seconds left. They'll mark it, but I don't think they'll get another one off, and that'll bring the first half to an end.
That's the end of the first half.
The lone Virginia Tech touchdown. Frank Beamer's cornerback Victor Macho Harris with the pick, took it in. East Carolina trails by 3, 10-7 here at the end of the first half. When they hung pretty much with Virginia Tech in terms of total yards. Here's Aaron Andrews.
Well, Coach, how much of the emotions surrounding the day impacted your team here in the first half?
I don't believe it's that as much as this East Carolina crowd. They're a good football team. They're playing good defense. They brought those little option quarterbacks in there, and that's a quickness we haven't seen in a while, and kind of got us off guard there a little bit. But, I think it's more them than anything else.
What's the most important adjustment you look to make here in the second then?
Well, I think we got to get our assignments defensively against the option. That's going to be the key to it. And then offensively, we just got to make some plays. We've had a couple opportunities and haven't got it done.
Coach, thank you.
Aaron, Virginia Tech gets the ball first at the half. Tech 10, East Carolina 7. Pontiac Performance halftime report. Reese Davis, Mark May, and Skip Holtz dad. Reese. So this Virginia Tech campus that has gathered so many times, gathered again today, early in the morning around the college game day set, different places around this campus, with hearts heavy, but also emotions boiling to see their football team take on an East Carolina team that was generous in its donation, but as their athletic director, the old basketball coach Terry Holland said, we're all Hokies until the game kicks off. And it was 7-3 until Macho Harris brought that interception back for a touchdown, Tech touchdown. And as we get set to start the third quarter and Tech will get the ball, it is Virginia Tech leading 10-7 with Tom Rinaldi and Aaron Andrews, and of course Bill Curry and Todd Blackledge up here in the booth. Mike Tirico. We're going to get right to our Dell Playbook coach and look at why East Carolina was able to get this game going a little bit different than people expected.
Well, I think a lot different, and I think it's because of the big guys up front. Josh Kaufman, who was really forceful in talking with us last night. We believe we can block these guys. He's the left tackle, number 76, just sticking on blocks. There goes Chris Johnson, who has a nice burst. The ball handling's excellent. Pinckney in the game. You see Dominique Lindsay popping over there behind Fred Hicks, the fine center, number 57, and then big block by Jay Sonhalter, number 91, who turned it up as the H-back and just knocked the All-American linebacker in the back of the end zone.
No, I think Virginia Tech struggled offensively, couldn't get things going on the offense. They had to go with Beamer ball, and that's what you expect from Virginia Tech. It's their special team that flipped the field position. Eddie Royal with the big punt return. They didn't capitalize with points after this, but they flipped field position. Beautiful play by Brandon Dillard, put him down on the 1, then the poor decision by Clay and the interception by Victor Harris. That got Virginia Tech in the lead. The defense, a big play right before the end of the half.
Virginia Tech will take the ball to start the third quarter. Special teams always part of the equation with Virginia Tech, and that block punt, punt stopped before the 1-yard line, downed before the 1, was part of the big turnaround. Ben Hartman's kickoff is going toward the out-of-bounds mark and does reach there. So that penalty that always hurts you after a kickoff will allow East Carolina, or rather Virginia Tech, to have decent field position as we start.
Well, it has been speculated that some people might. Here's the officials' call, and we'll talk.
Ball was spotted at the 35.
Well, I guess it's not the officials' call, but some people might just kick it out of bounds.
Right.
Let people have it at the 35 rather than to risk the long return.
Free kick out of bounds. It's kicking team. Ball being put in play at the 35-yard line.
And again, that ties back to the kickoffs being moved to the 30.
That's
and if
right.
you don't have a kicker who can get it to the goal line and your kick comes to the 10, more yards to cover for your coverage team and a good head start for a good return team. So Tech back to work, and Brandon Orr runs right into that still stout East Carolina defense. Gain of a yard. And here's Aaron Andrews on the sideline. EA?
Mike, ECU head coach Skip Holtz told me coming out of the half he was very happy with the way his defense, quote unquote, played their tails off. He said they stepped up to the challenge the coaches gave him. He said he got into his quarterback Brett Clay's face a little bit after that pick. He said, look, you have an obligation to this team. Take care of the ball. You got 70 guys here biting, clawing, scratching their way through. You got to help us out. But he also mentioned that's what happens when you have a freshman on the field. Look for him to continue to rotate those quarterbacks, Mike.
Clay was the man who started the game through that interception that Macho Harris brought it back for the lone Tech touchdown. To buy some time, incomplete. Sam Wheeler, the tight end, could not scoop it before the turf. Third down coming up.
Coach, you talked about it early in the game. I think the fact that East Carolina has been able to rotate those defensive linemen, they've been able to get a pretty consistent push against this Virginia Tech offensive line. That time, Sean Glennon did a nice job of avoiding the rush and making a throw, but there was a lot of pressure right up inside on him that forced him to leave the pocket.
Yeah, I really agree. Mark Robinson, Jay Ross, the big guys in the middle, and that was the hope, the East Carolina staff. We said that early. If they get a little pressure, tip a couple of balls, which they've done, Glennon's rattled. He is not throwing on rhythm.
Third down, first look covered, second look complete. Justin Harper got away from one. Trying to pick up blocks in the middle of the field to the 41. Pickup of 23 and a first down. Wilson and Bell, the linebackers, finally make the stop.
Well, 2 plays in a row, Sean Glennon had to leave the pocket against a 4-man rush and made 2 good throws. This time he's able to connect with Harper, the big receiver, 6'4", does a nice job of breaking 1 tackle. And if you're going to go for a play in the open field like that, you better make the tackle. Watch Glennon move out of the pocket, pulls it down, steps up a little bit, never left his eyes downfield. That's good work in the pocket.
After Tech's second third down conversion of the day, or spilled in the open field by Herman Leon Best, the cornerback, a former walk-on from Kinston, North Carolina.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Quentin Cotton is having a heck of a game. I don't know how many tackles he's got, but he is really, he's got a feel for angles. He understands. Well, we just got an answer. 8 tackles by Quentin Cotton so far, plus a forced fumble. So he.
Marty Aronoff. So an answer is only a question mark away.
Marty, I apologize for not asking you before I said that.
2nd and 5. Glennon on a roll to Wheeler. first down to the 27-yard line. I know Wheeler hasn't been able to come up with a couple of balls, but you really like what you see out of a guy who caught 13 balls last year.
Well, he's a sophomore, and the other tight end, Greg Boone, is also a sophomore, and both guys had to play a lot as freshmen last year and gained valuable experience. I think those two guys, as this season unfolds for Virginia Tech, are going to be big-time weapons for Sean Glennon, because you know you've got the wideouts, the speed on the outside. Those tight ends are athletic enough to be a factor in the passing game.
Plus, they're huge.
Yeah.
It's a little 6'3", 267 coming at you. Or running to the right, can't get his feet, and Best comes in for the stop. Coach Curry, I always hear people talk about the drive coming out of the locker room. Each drive counts the same. It depends what you do with it. Did you believe in the momentum that a second-half starting drive can affect for the rest of the game?
No, I think that's a fallacious thing. The first drive of the third quarter, always the most important. It can be if you come out and dominate. If you're Virginia Tech and you just rip down the field, then that is demoralizing.
You go from a heavy look to put trips over here on this side. And a hit by Glennon forces the fumble that is recovered, lost, then recovered by Marcus Hands. Glennon is shaken up after C.J. Wilson pounded him. And the third turnover of the game by the Hokies keeps the Pirates very much in it.
That's a busted protection, Todd.
It has to be.
Just a clean running shot by C.J. Wilson. You don't ever let a big guy hit your quarterback like that. And Nick Marshman, 67, was to turn out on him. Watch the right tackle. He goes side. A blown protection and a heck of a shot right in the middle of the quarterback's sternum.
Remember, preseason, fourth workout, Ed Wang, their projected right tackle, injured. Marshman moved from left guard over to that right tackle spot. He's done okay in camp. Not there. Patrick Pinckney, the quarterback. Hit after a gain of 9 by Cam Chancellor, the Rover. 2nd and 1 coming up.
I think what we're going to have to see now out of Virginia Tech is how well can they defend this West Virginia type offense, because I think that's what they're going to see. They're going to see Pinckney primarily running that zone type read thing and then rolling out to throw the ball. They're going to see Dwayne Harris, number 17, in at quarterback. That's what they're going to get a steady diet of here in the second half. How well do they adjust to that here in the third quarter?
In at quarterback is Dwayne Harris, who hands it to Chris Johnson, and Xavier Adibi making his 27th straight start. The big play guy in the middle of that defense with a loss of 1.5 yards.
That was a huge play. They had second and less than 1 yard, and now they come up 3rd and 4. And Virginia Tech's defense, by all rights, should get them stopped here. So Adibi could have turned the momentum right back toward his team.
Pinckney back in at quarterback. This time last week he was the 3rd-string quarterback behind Brett Clay and Rob Cass, who was supposed to be the starter. Didn't have prior starting experience. Arrested DWI a week ago. And Pinckney speeds into the secondary.
And the first time we've seen that play, we've seen the quarterback keep the football and do some different things. That was just a quarterback sweep. Design play, catch that snap, and take off right now with the lead back in front of him. Watch, this is all design. Good job by Chris Johnson, number 5, leading the play. And that's just a sweep. You know, it's just the quarterback running it just like a running back would, and they pick up the first down.
And I'll tell you something else. Those guys, that great defense is not running to the football the way they normally do. You didn't see 6 guys hit him.
Tight end Devon Drew is not on the field. Comes off the sideline. Pinckney looked at a throw left. Takes off again. Flag down as he's down. A half-yard shy of a first down.
Flag is down near the 50-yard line.
So it comes back for holding. Guys, one person who needs a mention here, we talked about Skip Holtz and the way they've been maneuvering, is Todd Fitch, quarterback's coach, who was the offensive coordinator at Connecticut for a while. So these guys have known each other. I was at Iowa State the last 3 years.
Yeah, Todd.
Holding 57 of the offense. 10-yard penalty to the spot of the foul. First down.
Again, Bill, you take your starting quarterback who you've prepared for, and what was Skip telling us? He wanted to pull the reins back to get his players' legs back under them this week. Instead, it was we have to go a little bit harder in practice because we need to get some guys some live looks.
He said we had to get full speed on Tuesday and take a chance on getting somebody hurt because none of these quarterbacks had ever played.
They're playing today.
Are they ever?
One of the
so are those big guys up front.
One of the multiple storylines here in Blacksburg on a day headlined by emotion that is turning into a pretty darn good football game. Pinckney throw on the run, never looking back is Jamar Bryant, the receiver, and the pass is incomplete. If you're just joining us 2 hours ago, the ceremonies before the game, really the activities to honor the memory of the 32 who lost their lives, 27 students, 5 faculty members in the tragedy known as 4/16 around these parts. April 16th, the deadliest shooting in U.S. history. This is a coming together the size of which this university has not had. There have been convocations, big moments, private emotions, students coming back, vigils at the memorial on campus, but this is the largest gathering. That emotion dovetailing with the start of a very high-promise football season. Pinckney on second down, got some of the yardage back and got pulled down by a face mask that looks like it's a 15-yarder on Xavier Adibi, and will give East Carolina a first down in Tech territory.
Yeah, in Xavier's defense, when you're chasing a fast guy, this guy runs as fast as Xavier. He's not used to that, so you just latch on to anything you can get. He's reaching for his jersey. He didn't mean to get him by the face mask, but that's a flagrant.
As soon as that head turns and he uses it to make the tackle, it's going to be a 15-yarder.
Personal foul. Face mask. Number 11 of the defense. 15 yards from the end of the run. First down.
Takes it to the 40-yard line. Only the second penalty on Tech today.
Yeah, it's the crowd's booing. They don't like the call, but that was clearly the correct call. These officials are amazing how often they're correct. That's a dangerous thing when your head gets jerked around like that. There's a reason for that rule.
Pinckney takes a break. Dwayne Harris, who was supposed to be a wide receiver this year, but he's a high school quarterback. He has never been a wide receiver. Flag pre-snap here on ECU.
For the snap, false start, 66 offense, 5-yard penalty. Still second, first down.
Redshirt freshman DJ Scott, the right tackle. And Bill and Todd, you were talking about the interior line play has been very impressive and eye-opening. And we said when we introduced the lineups, we have 3 guys on this front here making their first college football start in this environment.
They got a guy named Steve Shankweiler that's the co-coordinator with Todd Fitch. Steve Shankweiler is a long-time, well-known offensive line specialist. He's really good. He's got these guys ready, but they must keep their poise.
First and 15, possession maintained by Pinckney. He'll get all the penalty yardage back. Cam Martin brings him down. Second and 10 coming. 8:45 left in the third quarter, and it's still only a 3-point Tech lead.
You know, the thing that is continuing in this game right now is the edge and time of possession for East Carolina. At the end of the first half, they had a 17 minutes and 39 seconds of the first half. And again, you know, for some teams, that's not a big stat. For this East Carolina team under Skip Holtz, it is. They were 7-0 last year in games where they had the edge in time of possession.
Harris carried, flag down. The play is stopped. This is no play. He never came down with a knee, but the line judge throws the flag to kill the play.
I tell you what, Harris is a big league.
Start, gets the offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Hey guys, let me ask you this, because college football, it's so bizarre. It's the only sport we have that there's no preseason and no playoffs. So everything's different. So the first game is, hey, if you have a bag of tricks, you bring them out, and you're going to use them here. So for the Virginia Tech staff, maybe they were not expecting to see this much of the West Virginia-style offense. How quick can you put that Band-Aid on at halftime and get your guys coached up on it?
Well, you can get them coached up to run to the football and to tackle and bring people down. They're not doing those things. East Carolina's killing themselves now.
Second and 15. Pressure comes. They roll away from it. Complete and pushed out of bounds is Philip Henry. We'll have third and about 7 coming up.
You know, just to add to that, I mean, and Frank told Aaron walking off the field, we've got to get our assignments in option defense. And what that does is that makes you play a little bit more simplistic. It makes you play a little bit more vanilla, and then you have to just count on your guys doing the fundamental things right and playing fast and playing hard. They didn't play as fast in that first half as they normally do because they weren't really sure what they were supposed to be doing or how to defend it. They should play faster here in the second half.
As you see the fans of their keys, a key down, or as some like to say, a money down. 3rd and 6. Pinckney putting it up, incomplete. jump ball with Jamar Bryant and Brandon Flowers right there step for step on coverage. From here, a field goal would be 54, 55 yards on the back end of their range.
Not a lot of future going against Brandon Flowers. He led the ACC last year with 21 passes defended, also had 3 interceptions. Just another one in that great line of boundary corners here at Virginia Tech. Took the place of Jimmy Williams, D'Angelo Hall. They've had a strong run of guys playing that position.
So Matt Dodge, who, as we mentioned, kicked in the championship game for Appalachian State in 05. They won that. They won the 06 championship game, and they're making a big name for themselves in Ann Arbor. A beautiful kick by Dodge that just sneaks over the goal line, and a touchback. They'll take it to the 20. I know it's called the Football Championship Division, not 1AA anymore, but that is the most unusable term imaginable. Come on, somebody can come up with something better than that.
We are the Hokies.
We will prevail.
We will prevail. We will prevail.
We are Virginia Tech.
Campus of 28,000 students, 5,000 new freshmen, largest incoming freshman class in Tech history, and we visited with many of them on campus this week, and they are to their business of every day getting to school, but mindful of what happened here last April. Sam Wheeler's been busy, 5th catch to the 23-yard line. We mentioned that some of those who were wounded, 25 wounded, many of them, and I had seen the number 19, the governor indicated all, and that could very well mean all of the students who were still coming back to school, in other words, not seniors who are going to graduate, have returned to the Virginia Tech campus, and I think that symbol alone has said a lot to the people involved. And one of the young men is on the field, and Aaron's going to speak with him momentarily. He's been very public about his feelings and has done many interviews, and in many ways has helped his friends in the community heal from this tragedy as well. Carry for a yard, 3rd down coming up. Here's Aaron.
Mike, I'm joined right now with Derek Odell, one of the many heroes of April 16th. Of course, you were wounded in his German class, and then you actually sacrificed yourself, helped barricade the door to protect your classmates. You told me yesterday you've been waiting 4 months for this day. Why?
There's just so much emotion that builds up over 4 months, and just everybody, it's a big anticipation. It's sort of like coming back to classes. It's a huge event on campus, and we've just all been looking forward to it.
Tell us, what's the healing process been like for you?
It's been difficult at times, but things like this, events like this, definitely make it easier. Going on and moving on, but still remembering the victims. That's probably the biggest thing to sort of help me heal, and everybody else.
I know that you have said you have surrounded yourself around the victims' families to help with your process. Why is that?
I think it's a mutual relationship. Like, I help them and they help me. Just talking to them and sort of learning about their sons and daughters and their professors, or my professors and their mothers and parents. It's just like difficult for me, but it's sort of like a process of healing. I can't really explain it. It's just like a mutual bond that we have.
Well, I thank you very much for waiting around, joining me on the sidelines, and I know many, many Americans thank you as well for what you did. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming. It means a lot.
Thank you. Mike.
Yeah, Aaron, thanks. Fair caught by Stephen Rogers at the 30-yard line. East Carolina's defense able to get Virginia Tech off the field again, 46-yard punt. It's about the football game, but about the people who are making this community whole again.
ESPN's College Football, brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors, driven to thrill. Dick's Sporting Goods, every season starts at Dick's. And Cheez-It, the big cheese.
The faces in the school, music blaring, dogs and burgers going on the grill, getting ready for the first football Saturday of the year, and their fans are in need right now from the Virginia Tech defense, trying to spur this team on. East Carolina has played a whale of a game and needing to take a timeout out of a timeout.
What Pinckney's pointing at is the play clock set 0. And I think they're calling a delay of game, but I think that was at 0 for a few seconds before they did anything. I'm not sure it was reset.
Skip Holtz out looking for the explanation. And the conversation going on here now.
I was looking at this play clock, and while he was in the audible, it was already on 0. So I didn't know if they were keeping it on the field or not, but
mark it off 5.
They're marking off 5.
Skip's right, though. That's a bad call. That's a bad mistake. The clock wasn't started properly. there was a problem. I didn't see exactly what it was, but tremendous advantage for this defense.
So it is now 1st and 15. Handoff, Chris Johnson. Again, the penalty yardage back. Flag is down, though, in the backfield.
You know, the one thing it could have been, Coach, and it is different. One of the different rules is after a TV timeout, it's a 15-second clock instead of 25.
Yes,
and maybe it was just a quicker clock, and they weren't ready for it to get their play call off.
Holding. Number 70, the offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Here's Reese Davis.
Mike, every week throughout the season, we're going to honor the AT&T All-America Player of the Week, and you can get in on the action. All you have to do is text the word VOTE to 87654 on your AT&T wireless phone. You can register for that week's competition, and who knows, you can get a chance to win a trip to the national championship game in January.
Seems so far away, but every week matters. Just ask the Tech fans right now. So 1st and 25 is a gain of only a yard for Chris Johnson.
You know, Mike, if you want to beat a team like Virginia Tech that's ranked higher than you, that has more talent than you, a couple things you must do. You win the turnover battle, which they're doing, and you can't afford to have more penalties on you than on the other team. And right now they're kind of hurting themselves. That last penalty for East Carolina, their 9th of the game. Virginia Tech only 2 penalties, but they are having an ability to run the football much better than Virginia Tech so far in this ball game.
9 rushing yards, not going to do it against anybody.
Nope.
Especially when you go into LSU next Saturday night on ESPN. Pinkney to his outlet. Dominique Lindsay split 2 tackles, but finally brought down to the 23. Stuff 3rd and 17 after Brandon Flowers, active today, made the play.
The penalties are devastating, but if you were to watch these two offenses, you'd say the sophisticated offense, the experienced offense is East Carolina. And these are kids that have never played college football before. They're making their reads, they're throwing on rhythm, they're running the ball effectively, and they're taking care of the football except for the one errant throw.
They need to get to the 43rd, and we'll call it 18. Pressure comes. Pinkney got away from it. Gets away from another one. Put it up late over the middle, and it's incomplete. It was deflected twice, and late over the middle makes everyone who's ever coached just cringe.
Late over the middle.
Todd Blackledge is cringing.
Late over the middle and back across your body. You couldn't have done more wrong things on this one. Beautiful job of eluding the pressure. That's Chancellor, the free safety, comes unblocked. Right now, just run it out of bounds and punt the football. It's a 3-point game. Let your defense play.
Haven't been able to get that pressure on a punt yet, and a nice job of punting, but this one, he takes a fortuitous bounce. Eddie Royal doesn't have his return set up, and he comes down to the 43-yard line. So the net is 35 yards after a punt of 39. Virginia Tech has the lead. They have good field position, but their offense has only put up 3 points. Their lone touchdown came on a pick 6 by Macho Harris. Last year, when this stadium opened for business about a year ago, for season 42, it finished a series of upgrades. The quality of play inside had been upgraded, but not today. A pick on the first play, a fumble by Orr in the first quarter. This hit a couple of drives ago by C.J. Wilson, forcing a 3rd Virginia Tech turnover. East Carolina's defense has made a name for itself here. Within 3, 3:50 to go in the 3rd quarter of the season opener. Sean Glennon pressured, flushed, twisted, threw it away. Incomplete. Getting no time, getting little result.
They're just not able to muster much of anything, and it really starts with their inability to run the football. I mean, you can't expect Sean Glennon to do it all throwing the ball, and he has not looked comfortable, but I think a big part of that is they have not had very much success running the football, and consequently, those results on that last column, a lot of punts and a couple turnovers.
Yeah, and really poor pass protection, including the last play.
I think running the football helps all of that. You know, play action is how you get big plays in the passing game, and you can't run. Play action is meaningless.
Second down. That is the second running back. Kenny Lewis is brought down easily by Zach Slate. You know, guys, there's no pop. There's no zip to this offense. But there is a pop and a zip provider on their bench. And I know what Tech fans are thinking. His name's Tyrod Taylor, true freshman, 18 years old, Hampton, Virginia.
Yeah, when you bring his name up with his teammates, even the defensive guys, their eyes light up and they say, he gets it. I mean, he's got it. He's the real deal.
Frank does not want to play him right now. I mean, he did not anticipate or want to play him today, but if this thing continues to drag out, he might have to.
Stunt up front. Flushed is Glennon. He's got an outlet. And Lewis couldn't hang on. He was trying to take it for a big gain, and all he needed was to secure it, and he would have the first down.
The Virginia Tech offensive line is just being manhandled.
Yeah.
They are sluggish. They're not moving their feet. This time it's their leader, Dwayne Brown, number 76, gets beat inside. Pressure right in the quarterback's face immediately. Glennon running for his life, makes a nice dump off, and the ball is dropped. Brandon Orr dropped an easy screen a few minutes ago with a screen that was nicely set up. The offense is not ready to play.
East Carolina's gotten some decent pressure on the punts of Bowden. Let's see what they do here as Brent gets set to kick for the 5th time. Not his best kick. Rogers tells his mates to stay away. It bounces right to him. So a fortuitous bounce and a flag that we'll have to deal with. Went 46 yards.
You know, the other thing, we were talking about Tyrod Taylor and what he brings to the table. You know, the other reason you might think of him is because there is no spark on offense.
Right.
And because the protection's not there and the running game's not there, maybe you go to somebody that can make something happen whenever Virginia Tech. I know Frank doesn't want to play him in an ideal world. Sean Glennon would have come out and played really well. He could redshirt Tyrod and have him for 4 more years. But if this team really wants to do what they think they're capable of doing in the ACC and beyond, they might have to go.
This is a tack-on penalty. Skip Holtz is very upset with, and the side judge is
That's a new rule.
back.
That's a new rule. In a punting situation, you can tack it on. If you can take the penalty, it tacks on to the result of the play. East Carolina with 10 penalties, they're keeping Virginia Tech in the game.
And they're back at their own 5 where they made the lone mistake that cost them 7 points earlier. Dominic Lindsay the carry for a couple of yards. Take a look at the Dr. Pepper ACC update. Of course, Virginia Tech second in the Coastal Division last year. 4 new head coaches. Boston College, Jeff Jagodzinski. Miami with Randy Shannon, who's winning. North Carolina State, Tom O'Brien comes from BC. And North Carolina with Butch Davis coming in. Florida State, 6 new assistants. Todd will see them with Mike Patrick and Holly Rowe on ESPN. In our Monday Night Football slot as the Labor Day opener, Florida State and Clemson. A league game. Wake Forest and BC on many of your ABC affiliates or ESPN game. Lindsay goes nowhere. And now 3rd down. And this is where you have to be careful if you're Virginia Tech, if you're East Carolina, because Tech's crowd and defense gets all lathered up in these situations.
Well, the penalty really helps them with the field position. Now they have you in the part of the field where they really want to try to come after you. East Carolina has to be smart with the football. Virginia Tech knows we get a stop here. We make a punt from their own end zone. We got a chance to kind of get up on top of them right here.
Patrick Pinckney is the quarterback. A lot of maroon in his face. Pressured by Ellis. Throws smartly, high and incomplete. With your punter standing in the end zone against the punt block team of this and the prior decade. Brett Clay turned it over in that same spot earlier, and that caused the only touchdown for Tech.
Well, here's where you're torn, Coach. I mean, do you go after it here, or do you get Eddie Royal the football at the 50 and see if you get a big return?
They're quick snapping them. They're not letting them come after it. They've done it time and again. It's brilliant strategy by East Carolina, but they still have the ball at the midfield mark.
And here's Reese Davis in the studio. RD.
Michael, the scoring has slowed down at the Big House. First possession for Appalachian State in the second half of 28-17 on Michigan. Armonte Edwards picked off by Morgan Trent. Michigan had to settle for a field goal, and then Edwards hit the freshman Brian Quick right in the hands, and he dropped it. App State got the field goal. They're up 31-20 halfway through the 3rd.
You see just 9 passes leading to 3 touchdowns, so they are being able to control the ball against the Wolverines. as that game. This is the start of our college football day. A couple of games tonight on ESPN and ESPN2. Oklahoma State, Georgia, Kansas State, Auburn. Tennessee, Cal on ABC at 8 Eastern. First down a run. Only a couple of yards here for Brandon Orr, less than a yard. Here's a guy who had back-to-back 200-yard games last year, an 1,100-yard back. We got nothing going on here today.
Well, he's coughed up the ball. He dropped an easy screen pass a while ago, and he's not showing a lot of movement. He's not showing that power that we're accustomed to seeing from him. I wonder if he's nicked a little bit. I really do. I wonder if he's full speed.
I think it's hard to show power when your shoulders are facing the sideline and they keep forcing you outside. And I think the front four of East Carolina and this group of 8 guys who are rotating in there has just controlled the line of scrimmage more than not.
2nd and 9. Glennon was tagged as he threw, so yes, that throw is behind, but again, the pressure, and you guys know it, my old center, quarterback here, offensive line play is the least sexy thing to talk about football, but it's the essential of the game.
It is.
If pressure's going to come, you want to let it come outside your quarterback. You don't want pressure coming in here, because if it gets right into the lap or the face of the quarterback, that's tough. I mean, that's Dwayne Brown, your best offensive lineman, who's just getting pushed right back into the quarterback's lap.
Coming off the ball and getting a good bull rush.
You guys talk about quarterbacks and footwork. Glennon was not set at all. He had no room to stride and throw. There he does, and it's held on to. Juggled, but held on to by Justin Harper at the 35. Gain of 13. First down tackle.
Yeah, excuse me. Well, that's what happens when you step up and throw on rhythm. He had a nice lane to throw through, as Todd mentioned, and a good completion.
Well, you're right. You get your feet into it. Your feet are set. You follow through. I mean, that's ideally what you want. Now, don't always get that. You got to be able to make plays throwing it when it's not that way, but you hope to get that situation as much as you can.
End of the third. Virginia Tech has 8 rushing yards. The offense has only put up 3 points. The touchdown came on defense. It's been a day of high emotion, high anticipation. Hokie Nation uniting around the calling card, the front porch for this university. It's a great football program. But East Carolina is the one making a name. Off we go to a fourth quarter in a 3-point game. This afternoon's game being broadcast on ESPN HD, presented by Pioneer Kuro HD TV. And off we go to the fourth quarter here in Blacksburg. Virginia Tech leading 10-7. We start with 1st and 10 for the Hokies at the East Carolina 35. Sean Glennon's give to Brandon Orr. Tackles, takes it to the 30-yard line. A gain of 5. And Todd, during the timeout, look at Skip Holtz, the coach of East Carolina. Look at that look on his face.
Yeah.
Just the smile. That is, hey,
that's right where they wanted to be.
Get to the fourth quarter with a chance.
Get to the fourth quarter. It's a baseball score. It's 10-7. They're playing well. Their defense is playing lights out. His young quarterbacks are taking care of the football for the most part. They're right where he would have, if he could have scripted it out where he wanted to be, they are right there right now.
That's the word he used with us last night, the term, baseball score. That's the only way we can win this game. Or to the 20, that's some of the hardest running we've seen out of Brandon Orr today. Van Estridge made the tackle.
East Carolina continuing to rotate those defensive linemen, and they've got depth in their defensive line for the first. Holtz and his staff have been there and trying to keep some fresh legs in here. Virginia Tech, on the other hand, trying for the first time in this game to get something going in their running game. Only 20 yards rushing so far.
That was a 7-yard run, the longest of the day for Orr. Here he goes again. He lost his footing a couple of times, so we should point out we had rain overnight here in Blacksburg. Here's Reese Davis.
Studio update looking into Michigan and Appalachian State. Again, Mike Hart's been on the bike, apparently nicked up. He never fumbles, but Brandon Miner does, and he did there. App State couldn't cash it in. Missed a field goal. Still an 11-point lead for the reigning champs in the championship subdivision.
Still 20 minutes of that game left, and you guys hang with us here because I know many of you don't have access to that game this afternoon. So Reese has it in his radar, right front screen there in the studio. We'll keep you updated. Glennon's got his tight end. Wheeler! Beautiful. Touchdown, Virginia Tech. 21 yards in front of Leon Best. And Judd Dunleavy will come on to add the extra point out of the Grant Throckmorton hole. Perfect snap from Scott King. 17-7. Hokie Nation stand.
Two things on this play. He knew, number one, he was going to have his tight end Sam Wheeler in one-on-one. He also knew he was going to get hit in the mouth with an unblocked defender. He took the hit, he made the throw, and the Hokies have a 10-point lead.
2 minutes of the fourth, and for the first time, it's a double-digit Virginia Tech lead, 17-7. A continuation of a very good day as you look at the Sonic scoring drive for the big tight end for the Hokies. That total on the day for Wheeler, 6 catches, 73 yards, as Sam just brought in his first touchdown. Big leg by the kicker. No return on the deep kickoff by Jared DeVelli.
What you worry about with a young secondary, these guys are vulnerable to the play action. Watch the play action fake. It freezes both of them. That's Best and Eskridge. The big tight end has one-on-one. He's behind the coverage. Eskridge can't get to him. A perfect throw, taking the hit in the mouth, as Todd mentioned. And Glennon has a nice touchdown pass. Good play calling by Brian Springsteen. They've been trying to, Steinspring, they've been trying to get to that all day. And turn him into the ball.
That's all right. Well, Springsteen's new single was available on iTunes, so you're probably downloaded this week, Coach. Patrick Pinckney, first down, flushed, in trouble. He can erase trouble. Pass is caught with the knee down. The receiver is down there. That's Jay Sonhalter, who had a big block on the touchdown earlier. Just 4 catches last year.
I'm impressed with Patrick Pinckney. Poise. I mean, he's accurate throwing the football. He moves around well. He's not afraid to tuck it and run. I mean, this is a team, you got to remember now, this is a team playing in Conference USA. They got a chance to make some noise in that league. Their non-conference slate is nothing to envy. I mean, they've got these guys, West Carolina State.
Pinckney keeping, was patient enough to get a block there and take it to the 27-yard line. We'll have 3rd and 3 coming up. Yes, North Carolina is next week over in Greenville, and Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium is sold out over there for that game. That run was by Dwayne Harris, I beg your pardon. And there's the rest of the non-conference at West Virginia in a couple of weeks. Something like seeing number 9 and number 3 in your first month of your season. Yeah. NC State on October 20. So a couple of in-state rivals, and part of those rivals at home and a good team and a good schedule. Season tickets sold out in Greenville this year. The Pirate Mobile is rolling again. 3rd and 3. It is Pinckney. His throw is caught for the first down by T.J. Lee, who holds on at the 42-yard line. The junior from Raleigh, who went to Bakersfield Junior College last year, and on an 11-2 team, caught 34 balls.
This is a case of the receiver going. Dorian Porch did, number 24. He's in position. He goes in front of Porch, catches it high with his hands, and converts a big first down.
Excellent protection, too. Just a good job by the new guys up front.
That's the first catch of his football bowl subdivision career. Somebody.
Yeah, you get to go back to NFL. So
somebody figure it out. Pinckney loading, looking. Just too tall and incomplete. Solid coverage by Tech. The pass was intended for Juwan Crowell. But remember Jermaine Crowell, the wide receiver, played over at UVA in Charlottesville, and Angelo, his brother, the linebacker. Pinckney keeping, got a good block from Dominique Lindsay, and then ran into DJ Parker, the free safety. A lot is asked of that position, and Parker, the senior from Hampton, Virginia, once a corner, now mans that key spot on Bud Foster's defense.
He is really, really good. He does everything well. He was at the line of scrimmage 2 plays ago, played off the blocker, came off and made the tackle as if he were a linebacker, and that time he came from the deep middle and made the hit for a short gain. He's the glue to that defense.
With 10:40 left in a 10-point game, no play is a must play. But you get the feeling East Carolina needs to sustain something. It'd be nice to keep this drive alive if you root for the Pirates. Corner blitz coming from Flowers. Pinckney's pass deflected and incomplete. The pressure from Flowers and Chris Ellis caused the havoc and the incompletion.
Well, the freshman right tackle, DJ Scott, had to make a choice. There was only one of him and two guys to block. And normally you choose the inside guy. But he turns the inside guy loose. And that was Ellis who had the shorter path to the quarterback and forced Pinckney to throw it away.
And that ball was deflected because it was...
DJ will learn that you definitely take the inside guy. The QB will tell him.
Caught inside the 10 by Eddie Arroyo. Straight ahead, return the ball. Well, let's see. They say he was down as the ball came out. East Carolina thought they had a recovery in special teams, but the ball was ruled down at the 17-yard line, and it's a Virginia Tech ball. Van Eskridge down there again. Another big hit. He's been making lots of hits. Punt 46, return 11. Almost the fourth turnover. Take a peek at it as we head out to break. 17-7, Virginia Tech leads. Very close.
ESPN's College Football is presented by Cars.com. Find the right car for you. Cars.com. And in part by Volkswagen. When you get into a Volkswagen, it gets into you.
College game day here today. Season throughout the afternoon and evening. First down toss is complete to Justin Harper. He gets to the 19-yard line just to clean up the last play. The knee of Eddie Royal was clearly down before the ball came out, so there was no fumble. Tom Rinaldi is standing by with a very special guest. Tom?
Thanks very much, Mike. With Dr. Charles Steger, the president of Virginia Tech. We talked about it earlier, Doctor. The state's panel report came out earlier this week. Some parts critical, some parts praising. What changes have you made here on campus in the wake of the shooting?
Right. Well, in terms of the technology side, we have this iMessaging system where we can send an instant message to 36,000 students, faculty, and staff. That's in place. It wasn't in place on April 16th. We're also doing a very careful look at the laws related to information sharing.
This community have mentioned this. It's a football game and a very good one right now in the fourth quarter. But why is it more than that?
Well, the game itself is fun, but one of the things that helped us to get through this was a sense of community. And I think that is reaffirmed, and to get today, this wonderful coming together is a good step forward for the community.
Quickly, Doctor, such a deep outpouring from the entire nation and the world in the wake of these shootings. Was there a gesture in particular that touched you a little more deeply?
Well, I'll tell you, we had students who brought me this big poster with hundreds of signatures, and at the bottom, this was the second day, and they said, "We've got your back." It brings me to tears.
And certainly, I know that this crowd certainly has the Hokie back. Dr. Steger, we appreciate your time on this day. Michael?
Tom, thank you very much. It's been an emotional week and 4 months, really, for Dr. Steger. Jay Ross, the East Carolina defender, was injured on that play, being looked at on the field. The first down was picked up by Sam Wheeler. Ross, one of the most... Seen the score go by. Update from the Big House. Let's check with Reese, see what's going on. Reese?
All right, Mike, you know Michigan has never played a team from the division formerly called 1AA and might never want to do it again, with Appalachian State up 11 in the third quarter. But the second turnover of the second half for Monty Edwards, the Michigan defense forcing it, and then Mike Hart, who reportedly has been dealing with a bruised thigh, goes in for the touchdown. Two-point conversion attempt failed, so the Mountaineers still up by 5.
Interesting, going for 2 late in the third quarter there, and now a 5-point game, so the guys will have an eye on that and through the scoreboard shows.
That could be a big upset. If Michigan wins, that'll be a big upset. Bunch of Southern boys go up there.
Oh, boy. And Michigan has Oregon coming in next Saturday on ABC, and after that, Notre Dame and Penn State. It's a big month of games, and the quiet one has become a very loud one.
When everybody talked about, you knew Michigan had some guys to replace on defense, but you figure they've recruited so well that it shouldn't be that big of a drop-off so noticeable. But Appalachian State giving them all they can handle today.
It's one of the teams with a quarterback and those that have questions that need to be answered. So one of the storylines of the first week. I know that the man next to me, Mr. Curry, is going to tell me how good Quentin Cotton has been today. And he was there again.
Unofficially, that's the 12th tackle for Mr. Cotton, who is showing Virginia Tech how to play defense. I mean, he's showing the All-American linebackers, this is how you run through blockers. You take blockers on nice and low. You stay inside out with the ball carrier. You don't overrun, and you nail him. And he's doing it every time. He has had a wonderful football game, and his mates have helped him. Yeah. A lot of encouragement for East Carolina here. Another thing for Virginia Tech, if they're talking about national championship, they better get to where they can run the football a little bit.
Orr has had 12 carries of 2 yards or less. He has had 18 for the game. Here's one that will be more than 2. Stiff arm to the sideline, a couple of yards shy of the first down. Dakota Marshall's play.
You know, they always talk about the most improvement you can make in your team is from week 1 to week 2. Well, I'll tell you what, not to take anything away from East Carolina or how good their defense is, but the team that'll be wearing purple next week that Virginia Tech will face down in Baton Rouge is even a couple notches be a real challenge. And if this team, like you say, Coach, if they don't run the football any better, they are going to have a long, long night in Baton Rouge.
That's next Saturday night, primetime game on ESPN. Mike Patrick and Todd and Holly Rowe will be there. Throwing on 3rd and 2 is Glennon, and the pass is caught for the first down by Josh Morgan. Stays on his feet, and he's down at the 48-yard line. Well, the season started on Thursday night. Aaron was down there and watched LSU. Well, Mississippi State gave a whole new meaning to pick 6 interceptions, and then more defense. That guy's pretty good.
Yeah, Glenn Dorsey may be the best interior defensive lineman in the country, and Matt Flynn, first-year starting quarterback, a 5th-year senior who has waited his turn behind Jamarcus Russell. Didn't get off to a great start, but eventually got into it just like this Virginia Tech team.
Virginia Tech won here in Blacksburg by 18 5 years ago. And the Tigers are number 2, the Hokies number 9. Glennon, the punt, and then the pass to Harper. We'll get about a half dozen there before another defensive stop by Cotton. Glennon has completed his last 6 passes. And
decision-making by Sean Glennon as this game goes along. That was a pump fake and try to throw deep. They pump fake, the deep was covered, so he came back to the short throw and got the sure completion. If you go back to the very first play of the game, they called a big play opportunity. He tried to I think has improved as this game has gone along.
Cotton looked to be cramping. The entire linebacking corps has come out. The second-team linebacking crew is in for East Carolina. Tech is running a lot of plays and wearing down ECU a little bit, but a nice play by corner Jarek Hewitt for the stop there. Aaron Andrews?
Mike, you hate to see this. The guys that ECU coaches were talking about being the talk of the camp, that's defensive tackle Jay Ross. They were looking at his left knee. They are bringing the cart out for him, like I mentioned. Coach is really saying he turned it on in camp. He trimmed down. This is a guy they do not want to lose here on their defense.
And Bill and Todd were talking, Aaron, about all those players up on the defensive front who we've seen rolling in 8. Khalif Mitchell right there next to Ross, 98. Part of the story here today. East Carolina held up for a while. Pass complete to Justin Hyman at the 40-yard line. That'll be, or Josh Hyman, I beg your pardon. A first down, and the chains will move halfway through the 4th.
You really do hate to see anybody injured. You have to hope that Jay's hard work will pay off in the rehab, and that maybe this is just a sprain and it won't require anything more than just a normal rehabilitation process. He has had a great camp. And they need to get Cotton back on the field. Son, you can't have a cramp right now. Drink some of this Gatorade.
East Carolina picked for 2nd in Conference USA. Southern Miss is the conference favorite, and they come to Greenville in 2 weeks. Pressure, Glennon, trapped, brought down, pursued by Scotty Robinson. 2nd time we've called the name of the sophomore. 4th East Carolina sack of the afternoon.
And that's Nick Marshman, again, the right tackle, who was the starting left guard. He had to move over there. He's just going to get beat. You can see he just doesn't move his feet well enough. And Scotty Robbins able to go around him with a speed rush and get to the quarterback.
When you turn your shoulders to the sideline and parallel with the sideline immediately, you give the rusher a two-way go. You got to keep your shoulders square as long as possible and explode straight back. Poor technique by
5 yards shy of a first down. The next snap will come inside of 6 minutes.
I think, Todd, Glennon heard you when you mentioned Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah,
because he hasn't missed a pass since.
Right.
He's really running the game well. He's poised. It's as if we're watching him grow up before our eyes.
Well, and he's a guy that after the bowl game, you know, he had a very, very tough outing against Georgia in the second half. Only 94 yards passing, had 3 interceptions and a fumble. Felt really horrible about it, but he went right back to work and started working on his game. And you like to see a kid like that do well. You really do.
Outside, ooh, that throw is broken up by Jarek Hewitt. Well timed to force the incompletion. From here, a field goal will be 51 yards. With 5:28 left in a 10-point game.
The reason brag on Glennon, he could have plucked that. All he had to do is catch it and go down the sideline.
Virginia Tech is going to punt the ball away and bring out Brent Bowden to do so.
Maybe.
On 4th and 5. They try to draw East Carolina offside, but they're in a punt safe. Their defensive alignment out there. See if Bowden can get enough. Well, a couple of years ago, that would have been violation of that 2-yard bubble.
Sure would have.
Maybe the bubble will join the bowl subdivision in the football championship division in college football history. East Carolina has 91 yards of field and only 5:19 to go.
We are the Hokies. We are better than we think we are.
It's 4-32. United.
We will. We will.
We will.
We will prevail.
We are Virginia Tech.
There were so many needs to be filled in the hours, the days, the weeks, and now 20 weeks after 4/16, the tragic shooting, the deadliest shooting incident in U.S. history. And Frank Beamer has been there to hold so many titles for this Virginia Tech community. Pink was down pass, complete. Rogers out of bounds at the 15. The coach is a class of 69 alum of Virginia Tech. Penalty marker down, beg your pardon. Roughing the passer, so they'll tack on 15. And East Carolina will get it at the 30. Frank Beamer's number is honored here at Lane Stadium. He's become the winningest coach at this school. But it was much more than the football. He's been a beacon, an ambassador, a figure to lead. And Bill, I thought it was interesting when Frank was telling us, and his wife encouraged him, Cheryl, he purposely walked the campus in the days after the tragedy because he is the face of this school.
Yeah.
And so many were able to talk to and touch their football coach. And because he grew up 45 minutes from here and played here and has brought this football for the role that he did in the wake of 4/16. Pinckney first down. Patrick throws it out of bounds, incomplete. Second down coming up.
Frank just coaches are in too much of an exalted position, and he's taken.
I was impressed with, and talking to the players, is that, you know, Frank was so real in front of the players and how he was affected and impacted by this and what he felt his responsibility was. And they just really, I think they identified with him and saw a side of him that maybe they'd never seen before and were drawn even closer to him as their head coach.
Gain of 4, Patrick Pinckney to Philip Henry. When we saw him at the convocation at Castle Coliseum, the basketball arena right next door, when he was as emotional as so many of the other people there. And then in a more private moment when he was asked to speak to the families of the 32 victims, and he told us the other day and just gave you chills that when I looked in their eyes, all I could do was cheer up. There were no words when I saw the pain, because he is a Hokie through and through. His place was so unique in the healing. 3rd and 6 for his defense now. Good throw by Pinckney, complete for a first down to Jamar Bryant in front of Brandon Flowers. The quarterback, Rob Cass, who was suspended, it's a 1-game suspension. He likely will be back with East Carolina as long as everything's gone well this week. Next week, East Carolina's going to have some decisions to make.
He'll be back over there on the bench is where he'll be because this guy is good.
This
guy is good.
Me, yeah.
You tell me, Todd, if this guy looks like he's never played before.
No, he's impressive. He's accurate. You know, we were told that Clay was kind of the better thrower and Pinckney the better runner, but I like the way this kid throws the football as well.
He's 12 of 20 today. He's looking deep, trying to get Jamar Bryant breaking free, and Bryant went up in the air and almost won it in the air with Macho Harris. Reese Davis, an update in the studio.
And Mike, again, Michigan and Appalachian State, you've seen this happen time and time again. The Giants get stronger late in the game. Michigan on the move, deep in Mountaineer territory. Henne flushed down the pocket, and Leonard Love, McLovin that one, picking it off for Appalachian State. They hang on.
Earlier, late over the middle across your body, and it goes back the other way for App State, trying to pull one of the upsets, certainly of the decade, if not beyond. How huge would that be?
Boy, oh boy.
And a great throw again.
I got to tell
Jawan Crowell, first down, 43-yard line.
These guys are trying to win this football game, Todd. They're not out here trying to finish the day.
Nope.
Yeah, we showed you that picture of Skip Holtz and being loose and kind of having fun with his guys. That wasn't like, hey, we've done our job. It's like we are right where we want to be to try to win this game. And I think the biggest thing has been this offensive line for East Carolina. A four-man rush by Virginia Tech has not been able to generate any kind of pressure on Patrick Pinckney so far in this ball game.
Drive started back at the 10, 4:20 to go. Look out. Pinckney got away, kept the play alive, and bought some time. Now just throws it away out of the tackle box beyond the line of scrimmage. No intentional grounding, and there's a veteran quarterback play.
Well, the only reason there was pressure here is because there was a bust in the backfield. Either the quarterback or the back went a great job of making something out of nothing, at least throw the ball away and come up and play 2nd and 10.
And if you're seeing unfamiliar numbers for Virginia Tech on that defensive front, Nikos Brown, 47, Jason Worlds, 43, a sophomore and a redshirt freshman in there trying to spin those ends around and get fresh legs on the field in the 4th quarter. Worlds out of Carteret, New Jersey. Skip Holtz runs on the field under the score bug to call timeout.
I'll tell you, another really intelligent play was made by Brandon Flowers, number 18. He had a chance to take a shot, and he passed it up. He just went by. So many times in the heat of the moment, right toward the end of the game, you take that hit thinking you're going to get another shot on the QB, and he pulled off.
I know who would have had the sack. Somebody standing next to Aaron Andrews, EA.
Maybe that's because he was nicknamed the Sack Man here in the early 80s for Virginia Tech. You're also a Norfolk, Virginia native. What was the ceremony like for you personally today?
It was special. It was special and emotional, but we hope that this will add to the healing process that's going on right here now with Virginia Tech.
You told me you didn't even believe when you heard about the tragedy that it happened here. What impressed you the most about the way the community responded?
Well, the things that impressed me were the actions by Dr. Steger, the faculty, the professors, and especially the students. They displayed such character in the midst of this adverse situation and this tragedy. I was extremely proud.
We got to have a little fun for you. Bud Foster told us Chris Ellis may be the best player at that position to ever come through here at Virginia Tech. You were #1 pick in '85. What do you got to say about that?
Well, I have a great deal of respect for Bud Foster and his opinions, but he's got a long way to go. I think I was a #1 draft pick back in 1985 and set all kinds of school records, so I'm pretty proud of those accomplishments.
Well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike
Smith.
You know, there were 3 guys when I played that you had to always be aware of where they were every snap. Bruce Smith was one. The other 2 were Reggie White and Howie Long. You wanted to know where those 3 guys were every time you snapped the ball.
Perhaps 4-down territory, 3rd and 2, and even worse as this flag comes down for the East Carolina offense. This will be penalty number 11.
Of course, LT was like that.
Condo and Retail Center in Blacksburg. You may have seen his shirt. It had legends of Virginia Tech, including Don Strock, Frank Beamer, the C for coach, and the number 7 of Michael Vick, which still hangs here even after the federal indictment and the guilty plea that Michael entered on Monday in Richmond, Virginia federal court. The Virginia Tech athletic director Jim Weaver mentioning that number 7 in his mind should stay up. What happened with Vick is separate from the accomplishments he had here in Blacksburg, and the Tech community, although not embracing what happened, obviously, is still very supportive of somebody who helped put them on the map. 3rd and 7, Pinckney making moves. Did he get the first down? He's just going to be shy. We have 4th and less than a yard, 3 minutes to go. You need a field goal in the yards.
This guy's really got savvy. I mean, he's got presence. It's as if he's been out there for 2 years, Todd.
Yeah, he looks good. I mean, he really does. You mentioned it. Presence, poise, savvy. He understands how to play the position.
They've got to go and get going. They've got to go for it here on 4th down, and time is a factor. First, they have to pick it up. And they go to the air to do it, and Pinckney's behind Stephen Rogers. Incomplete. And Bruce Smith happy to see this generation of Hokie D hold on.
And that big whooshing sound you just heard is, because had they come down and scored here, it would still been very much a football game.
A little bit behind him, a little quick slant route. Quarterback maybe thinking, I've got to keep it away from Cam Martin, that whip linebacker coming out underneath the throw. Rodgers going inside and come up short on 4th down.
So 2:31 left. East Carolina, 2 timeouts. They need the ball twice to come back from behind 10. Just a couple of yard run here. We mentioned Michael Vick, guys, putting this school on the map. Not to disrespect football before Michael Vick here. There were some good teams over the years. Bill Dooley had some good teams here. Frank Beamer had 5 tough seasons, started it rolling, and then Michael Vick came from the Tidewater area, the 757, as the players still like to call that Hampton, Virginia area. 20 current pictures videotaped earlier this week inside the football offices. Michael was very generous in donating money back to the program when he became a part of it, and their facilities have upgraded significantly around that bubble that grew when the Michael Vick experience happened here. And they went 21-1 and lost out ECU.
When we talked to Vince Hall and Xavier Deavy, they both said, that's when they became Virginia Tech fans, when they watched Michael Vick and he was from their area, and that's when it all kind of started for them too. And I thought it was interesting too, Frank Beamer's response when we talked to him about Michael Vick. You could tell very heartfelt feelings that he has for Michael as a person, and very concerned about him now, and just what's going to happen with him. But I think also at least proud of him that he has owned up and taken responsibility for for his actions and his decisions, and hopes the best for him.
It's kind of that blind faith and support and love that you have for a child. As parents, you guys all know that. And Bill, as a football coach, you understand what that's all about, and that's kind of what I felt we were hearing from Frank and others here in the Tech community.
That's exactly what.
This is 3rd and 6, and it's to Eddie Royal, and the speedster is able to get right to the line for the first down at the 44-yard line. So the guys will keep an eye. You saw the Michigan score come in as you rotate through all the top 20 scores and then the other non-top 20 games, as we have an eye on what's going on in Ann Arbor to see what happens with the Michigan-Appalachian State game and get us set for our games tonight on the Family Networks. Oklahoma State, Georgia, ESPN 2, 6:45 Eastern, 7:45 Eastern, Kansas State, Auburn. The primetime ABC 8 Eastern game, Tennessee out in Berkeley to take on Cal. No measure here on the near sideline.
It's a couple good games tonight, really. I mean, that Cal-Tennessee game, Cal's one of those teams. There's a lot of teams in the top 20 that have a quarterback who is going into his 2nd year as a starter. Sean Glennon's one of those guys for Virginia Tech. Nate Longshore, the same kind of guy for Cal. A team that really hopes that their quarterback play levels out, more consistency, a better level of play. It'll be an interesting game tonight. Cal was not ready to Tennessee last year. They were intimidated going into an SEC stadium. They get them at home tonight. And I'll guarantee you Tennessee won't be intimidated going out to Berkeley. They'll be ready to play too.
But you're worried about the tape on the fingers.
Well, it is a concern. Yeah, it is a concern.
The Tennessee quarterback with a broken pinky. So first down, 1 timeout left, 96 seconds. And the stop of Lewis behind the line at the 40. Encapsulated on what we saw out of East Carolina first here before we turn to Virginia Tech.
Well, I think what we saw is that East Carolina is going to have one heck of a football team. They found themselves a young quarterback, and if the other guy that did not get a chance to play this week,
Rob Cass.
Yeah, if Rob Cass is better than Pinckney, they may be really good because they've got a terrific defense, and this secondary is just going to get better every week.
Yeah, I think they're a good defensive football team. I think their schedule is very difficult, though. I mean, I think that they are capable of playing with anybody in their league, but West Virginia and North Carolina State. So, but I think they're a good football team, and if Skip Holtz can keep them healthy, I think they've got a chance to make some noise in Conference USA.
In-state fans here in Virginia saw Virginia is losing to Wyoming 10-0 out in Laramie as they get their season started. Virginia Tech spin ahead here. LSU next Saturday night It better get a lot better, a lot quicker.
Yeah. Well, and particularly the running game has to get better. They can't go into Baton Rouge and expect Sean Glennon to throw the ball 35 or 40 times and beat that LSU defense. They've got to keep them off balance. They've got to do some things better in their running game, and I think that'll be their point of emphasis. Defensively, I think they tight. Offensively, they better be able to run the football better next week.
Well, they're still getting knocked around by East Carolina. They're still getting stoned at a time when you go too tights. And yes, East Carolina, of course, knows they're going to run the ball, but you got blockers for everybody. So you got to be able to block people and run the clock out at times like this when you've got a foe down and you got them beat.
5-yard face mask penalty as Kenny Lewis Jr., I mentioned former outfielder in the Cincinnati Reds chain, backing up Brandon Orr. You see his numbers for the day. And some hard yards. Tech -3 in the turnover column. They gave up 4 sacks, 36 net yards rushing. And the Bayou Bengals at night in Baton Rouge waiting.
I think the other thing you see in a game like this, too, is that, you know, as emotional and as energetic and as electric as it was in here when the game started, not what wins football games. I mean, you don't win games on emotion. You win by blocking and tackling and throwing and catching and doing all those fundamental things. And for the most part, East Carolina was fundamentally just as good as Virginia Tech today.
On the other side of the end of this game, Reese Davis will have the college football scoreboard presented by Acura. Bill Curry, Todd Blackledge, pleasure to be with you guys.
It was great being with you,
wonderful experience.
What a privilege to be here.
That's the right word, Coach.
Thank you, Mike.
Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi as well. Some of that applause is part of the Hokie respect being talked about by Jim Weaver, the athletic director, Frank Beamer, the head coach. Respect the opponents who you play, and East Carolina certainly earned the respect of a lot of people. It's good stuff. Good stuff there, guys. Respect for each other, the programs, the universities, and what they were able to do for one another in this day of coming together and healing. East Carolina, a 4-touchdown underdog, earned a lot of respect. Here's Aaron Andrews with the winning quarterback.
Well, Sean Glennon just walked up to me and said too much excitement, so much emotion surrounding the day. Personally, what was it like for you?
I guess we didn't live up to expectations of what we thought we were going to do. We thought we were going to come out here and riding on all the emotion of the stadium, just, you know, come out here and put on a show. And we struggled early on. We really did. And our hats are off to ECU. They were quite an opponent, but luckily, you know, we got together in the second half and pulled it out.
Only 33 yards rushing today, a bit out of sync for the offense. Why? What was the problem?
I guess we just weren't getting a push up front. You know, again, that says a lot about ECU, but it's definitely something we're going to have to get corrected because we're going up against a pretty good defense next week.
And what do you do to get it corrected as the Tigers wait for you in Baton Rouge next Saturday?
I guess a lot more practice, a lot more film study, look at the game, see what we did wrong, see what's going wrong up front, and just make necessary adjustments. That's all we can do.
Sean, thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron, thank you. Major story developed. The Appalachian State game. Reese and the guys will have an eye on it. The college football scoreboard presented by Acura is next. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Yes, it's about game 2. A top 10 matchup is next for Virginia Tech. But this day and the last 20 weeks have been about the 32 lives taken senselessly. State's history. In some ways, some very small ways, football can help that healing. Athletic programs are the front porch to a university. It's where the world can come in and check out what a school is all about. More than any research, any great professors. They gathered as one today. They shared the emotion. They shared the tears. They shared the joy. Healing is an individual thing, but for one day, sports put a big hug and embrace around everyone. From Blacksburg, so long.